is going on, everybody? It is episode 563 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Brett is acting like a tyrant today, so we don't get to pull you on this. But I just personally wanted to ask you if you pronounce R-E-E-S-E-S, before I say it, as Reese's or Reese's? Reese's or Reese's? We can't pull you on it because Brett is...
Too lazy to figure out
how to type it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But I am curious to know. Also, Sarah's here. How do you say it?
Happy Wednesday. I say Reese's. Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, it's not Reese's. Weirdos say Reese's.
Yeah, only the really strange people say
Excuse
Reese's.
me?
Yes, you. It's weird. I don't know. I think Dane says it that way too, or somebody else here says it that way.
No, a lot of people definitely say it that way.
Okay, if Dane is saying it that way, I should change.
And every time I heard somebody say it
Next
that way.
thing you know, I'm going to be like Colorado.
Colorado.
Next thing you know, I'll say simulacra.
I can't.
You don't know what's going to happen.
It's never a day that ends in Y unless you're making fun of the way Dane talks. That's what we do here.
You guys were eviscerating each other, like verbally abusing each other earlier, just in earshot. And I was like, what's going on? Like they're talking about bathhouses. Like it was really, it sounded like you were serious.
Jokes,
so
yeah. A lot of,
Dane does
bathhouses were mentioned.
Yes, nothing that we can say on this podcast without probably getting it pulled. But, you know, that's how bros talk to each
Locker
other.
room talk.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Locker room talk.
Healthy.
Actually, what I was talking about was a closet in a locker room of a bathhouse and certain things that he does.
Oh, my.
You know.
What?
Who is he?
Dane.
Oh, Dane?
Yes.
Yikes.
You know, well, because what it was is Dane was supposed to upload the social media clip today, and it didn't come out on time.
And then we cracked the whip.
Yep. And I was like, look, maybe if you weren't out doing so many awful things in Russian bathhouses, in the closet of Russian bathhouses. He brought it up though. He actually entered the conversation with that topic, so it wasn't actually my fault. It was his own fault. Yes.
Yeah, no,
because he was projecting.
Yes,
obviously.
Of course, 110%. Guys, before we get started, would you please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? I promise.
Hey, we have a $20 from Bucky Ducky. Brett, please, would you so kindly do the poll?
If you tell me how do you type it?
We had to do it verbally. Yeah, tell us how to type it out.
We need to give you the phonics lesson on this.
Yeah. Like I'm doing enough over here.
I would do.
All right. Forget it. We'll do it tomorrow.
I mean, I told you how to do it, but
I'm going to turn this.
Whatever.
I'm turning this podcast around.
It's your
right
podcast.
Now.
What were you saying?
Okay, guys. Hit the like button on this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Please and thank you. Share this video with your friends so you can show other people are absolutely where it had ableism, racism, fat phobia, and sexism in the first 50 seconds of the episode. And I was like, man, we used to be a country, like a proper country. And just
the point is, it's not any of the isms. It's not any of the phobias. That's just, you know, humanity. That's just when we had a proper country.
That is
when George Bush was dodging shoes.
Yes.
As we reminisced about
we were
earlier.
Pioneers.
Yeah.
We're human.
Good times.
So, guys, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, also remember, as you just saw with Bucky Ducky, all Super Chats $20 and over. We'll interrupt the discussion. We'll read those Super Chats right then and there, and then we will do our very best to get back on topic. In fact, I was alerted to something earlier today from Camelot, right? I sent you the link for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to learn that there's a leaderboard for the most super chatted YouTube channels. And we happen to be on it.
We broke top 30.
Yes.
Yeah, we are, what are we, 31?
30.
30?
30
I'm looking
31.
at 30 and it says we're just below Nerdrotic.
Yes, for the month.
So he's number 30 right now, but it says he's down. So if you guys help us out, we could get him up Nerdrotic on the ranking. But
it was it was for the month of February. So
very grateful. I had no idea that such a thing existed, but it's cool that we're on it.
I worry about like paying too close attention to that stuff because like if you get bogged down in analytics and stuff like that, it can kind of make it. It takes the joy out of it in a lot of ways. And for a lot of people, like when I was talking, because Camelot was like right under us and he was like yelling at me. He's like,
How dare you?
Yeah, right. But like, it is a measure of support. So thank you guys all so much for all of that. We
Hey.
are very grateful.
We got above Camelot, and we didn't even have to take off our shirts to do it.
That is
So,
110% true. And of course, that's 'cause-
personality and work ethic alone got us here, not stripping.
Yes, but
So.
also, you know, it is fair to point out that we don't hate our jobs like a bunch of streamers have been talking about lately, like Asmongold and all of the people who talk about how difficult it is to do what they do.
Well, it looks like Tim is at the very top of this list.
Shocking.
Shocking, I know.
Shocking.
Most of them are like Minecraft and Roblox, and then like religious fanatics. But there's
honor
like
to be on that list.
Geeks and Gamers is on here.
Yep. DJ Cobra.
Then Ethan Klein. We need to rise above Ethan Klein.
That would
That's
be
my
good.
goal. Also,
we got
above the Roblox YouTubers.
2 more 20s there if you want to read those.
Oh, I didn't even see those. Bucky Ducky said RECs versus RESES. I can't believe I'm paying to do your job for you. No more super chats this month. No, how are we going to get above Nerdrotic? You can't do this to us.
Okay. No, fair enough. Keep reading those. I will put it up as he typed it there. Go ahead. Keep
All
reading.
right, fine. Demo said your friend Reese has a car. Whose car is it? Okay, I get your point. It's Reese's, but is it named after someone? Is that why it's called that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know. I found out recently that Sheets was named after someone, like with the Z and everything. That was someone's last name. I had no idea.
Reese's? Okay.
Yes.
And then
Brett is learning today.
yes.
RESES.
Sound it out.
But separate them.
I hate you guys.
Separate them.
Okay.
Okay. Are you good?
I'm good. Here we go. There it is.
We're starting the poll.
Yep.
Everyone let us
People
know.
can now vote.
I know I'm gonna get BTFO in this one.
You think so?
Fine. I
this-
say Reese's, but I don't know. I just heard other people say it that way, and I was like, I guess I was wrong.
I thought there could be. I'm not. There's an apostrophe. I don't freaking care. It said you get what I'm trying to ask the question of here. How is it pronounced?
It's very important.
Yes, it's very important.
It's more important than the general
I
election.
had never heard the Reese's pronunciation until like I came here to work. Maybe it was a Midwest.
Is it a Maryland thing?
Could be.
Okay, because that would make sense. I grew up in Maryland. Everyone says that.
Maybe it's like an East Coast thing.
Yeah.
All right. We got a couple more there. We got one more from John.
We do?
Not that John
Oh.
Stewart.
Not that John Stewart said, let's go. Hello, Mistress of Coffee, Mary, Brett, honorable mention, Mocha the Derpy Cat.
There will be no honorable mention for Mocha the
There's a dishonorable mention for Mocha
Dishonor.
there.
If we had like a dishonorable mention of the day, I would include Mocha. There would just be no pictures.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
It's a black square.
Though I'm always more than happy to share Chloe, her sister, more than
You're
enough.
gonna give Mocha such a complex.
I am. Well, here what it is Chloe is very dignified, minds her own business, doesn't bother anyone. In fact, gets annoyed if you try to bother her. That's how I want my cats to be. I want them to be very, very
Very
independent.
stereotypical cat
They
behavior.
they only bother you when they want to be fed. And that's also annoying because then they're like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Independent, you can live on your own unless you need something. Then all of a sudden you're Mr. Friendly or Mrs. Friendly.
Well, you just hate cats then.
No,
That's how they all act.
Nope, I like Chloe. Chloe's good.
You definitely
I
like
did, however, almost pronounce Bucko as like Bocus as like Mocha the other day.
Mocus?
Like yeah, so I no, so we're
Mocus.
gonna like so I think what we'll do is
That's their ship name.
Yep, Boca.
Aw.
Boca.
Perfect.
Boca. Okay.
Yeah. So, but when I did that, Bocus looked very offended, like very, very, very offended.
Because you're
very
his
upset.
favorite.
He's
You're like his number one.
he was he sits there every day now, and he looks very regal. He looks very dignified. He looks very relaxed when I come in, and I give him a compliment every day, and I don't ever get his name wrong, but I got it wrong the other day. But to be fair, I misgender the other cats all the time. So
He would never let you know how much you mean to him because he's so stoic.
Because he's a cat.
It's,
Yeah.
it's what we love.
He's
about
not
him.
the most emotionally available creature on the planet.
Perfect. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. First things first, Disney, ex-Nickelodeon child star Drake Bell has exposed a child predator that was going on over there at Nickelodeon back when he was a kid. Unfortunately, as we've pointed out in the chat earlier, I was talking with some of the people in the chat, he is, of course, been exposed as a predator in his own right.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's a new documentary coming out that's talking about this stuff that was going on at Nickelodeon at that time. It really does feel like one day there will be more documentaries made about Nickelodeon than actual Nickelodeon shows.
Well, I didn't see a lot about Dan Schneider. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Dan Schneider in the actual project.
There's like more content to farm. There's more abuse content to farm, sadly, from all of this, right? They're going to keep making documentaries on all of this stuff, whether it's Jeanette McCurdy, whether it's talking about Dan Schneider, all of these things you said. Alexa Nicholas is in this. Like, there's an endless cycle of abuse, and it's crazy because I feel like Disney gets the rap because of the Mickey Mouse Club a lot and how the kids that go into the Disney pipeline end up coming up messed up. But Nickelodeon is probably almost more infamous now.
Well, Disney is obviously a bigger operation, right?
Yeah.
So they always were a bigger machine than Nickelodeon, but it seems like Nickelodeon has more infamous examples of predators in their company, at least the ones that have been named and exposed. So
we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Dakota Johnson, who is, as far as I'm concerned, had a huge W the other day, and she got that W by taking the L on Madam Web, oddly enough, where she basically says, look, the movie flopped, I get it. And then like dunked on studios for trying to create art by committee, which I can appreciate. Like, she always seems kind of emotionally distant and hoity-toity, for a lack of a better term, and I appreciate
not even hoity-toity. She just doesn't want to be here. She just seems like really depressed.
Wherever she is, she wants to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's like her curse in life.
She
is
seems
like no matter.
Perpetually unimpressed.
Like, wherever she is, her curse in life is to want to be somewhere else other than where she is, no matter where that is at any given time. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. That's kind of interesting. I feel like there's like an easy guidebook that could be made about how to make yourself more likable to the average person, and one of those is owning the loss when you lose big on a movie. So we're gonna talk about that. Also, Rihanna is being, and I still have a hard time saying it. That is the correct pronunciation of her name.
I'm never gonna say it that way.
Yeah, no, it's Rihanna for life.
Rihanna is was being dunked on for giving a half-assed performance.
Next poll: how do you say Rihanna?
Yes, we could do that. For giving a half-assed performance in India that people are very, very upset about at this large wedding.
It was an oil billionaire's son's wedding that cost over $100 million total.
So we're going to talk about that. And the TikTok girlfriends, the TikTok women are at it again. They're out here shit testing their boyfriends because none of them can just be happy. Where they're running a new shit test where they accidentally called their boyfriends their husbands to measure their reaction. Because, like I said, they need the chaos.
Yeah, they're testing them for loyalty, for husband potential.
A few weeks ago, I was on here. We were talking about the ketchup shit test. So I'm excited to talk about this.
We always say the stupid shit for you.
I love it. Thanks, guys.
We're like, oh man, that's stupid. Maybe Sarah will want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad you think of me.
It's like, oh man, that's really dumb. We can say that for Wednesday.
It's the least we can do. Really.
All right. If you ladies are ready, we will just go ahead and get started. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Sarah.
I'm ready.
She's like, let's do the stupid shit. Let's go right now. All right. First things first, let's get right into it. Twilight animated series being shopped around by Lionsgate Television. I knew Mary would be very excited about this.
Yeah, well, we're talking about stupid things, and this is definitely stupid.
Well, you love Twilight.
I'm not, I don't want more content to be rebooted and recycled over and over again. And specifically because it's happening to things I like right now, like Twilight and Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's just a no from me, dog. Little pitchy. Like, I know, I already am not interested.
Yeah.
And why, I mean, they're not gonna have any of the original cast, obviously. Well, they have better things to do.
Robert Pattinson has way better things to do, and Kristen Stewart has way better things to be mad about.
Right, exactly.
They were the only reason you guys. I feel like it was so popular. It's because they were together and it was the moment, and then they broke up, and now she's like androgynous.
It's all the drama that people
Well,
love.
actually,
Okay,
no,
we have a $20 real quick from Wisco Welder. He said, "What are you doing for Lent? And do you think everyone should do Lent?"
Do you want to explain Lent?
Well, it's Mark Wahlberg's 40-day challenge to you, sir. Thank you very much.
To you normies, it's the Mark Wahlberg 40-day challenge.
You know, if you do the Mark Wahlberg 40-day challenge, I guess anyone can do it. If you're Catholic, you call it Lent.
So is that it's just like the idea is like the Catholic Church just goes through its rebrand era where everything gets rebranded as something else?
Yeah, sure. We'll do that. We'll make it more trendy on social media.
What are you doing for Lent?
Well, there are multiple things. I don't want to just like list all of them out, but the main thing is that I have abstained from reading comments on social media.
Has that been good for your brain?
I'm less interested in seeing them now.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It's interesting how if you can get away from a bad habit for even just a couple of days, how it's like, I always point this out. Go online and just look up like social media cleanse on YouTube, and it's all these people who have done like, I did a year off social media. I'll give you a hint. Nobody ever says they regret it.
Yeah.
There is not a single video. I'm sure there's maybe one on page 577 of somebody who's like, I went a year without social media and I died. Like,
Well,
I literally had a heart attack.
I'm not in a position where I could give up social media entirely, but I think that this was a really good choice for me in the meantime.
Nice.
Besides, I have to read your super chats anyway, and that
Yeah.
has to be an exception to the rule.
It is.
So
it is, but
yeah.
it's that's not where the crazy the mean comments come in usually. The mean comments
Most of the time
come in later. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't go searching for them. What happens is like when you go like when
YouTube forces you to look at it.
literally like in YouTube Studio, like if I'm
Yeah.
going to set up a live stream, basically, if I'm going through to look at analytics, you go down in the last 3 comments that have been left on your channel show up there, and you don't even always
Good or
necessarily
bad.
read the whole thing. So sometimes you can only read the first like however many words of it, and I just say like, I'm sure whatever they were going to say was really nice, and then I just don't click on it.
Yeah, exactly. Also, do I think everyone should do Lent? Probably not, because if you don't believe in the religious significance of it, then you're just doing something for self-improvement or self-discipline, which is good anyway.
Which is we Wesley did the interview videos for the New Year for like Castle. I didn't get to see it. Yeah, the resolutions. And I pointed out, I was like, well, I quit soda, but I quit it in December because somehow it feels more easy to fail if you wait until January 1st and then do it. Whereas if you just start it on a random day, like don't wait for a Monday. Like anybody who ever says like, I'm going to stop doing this, but I'm going to start on Monday next week. It's not going to work. Just start right then.
Yeah.
Just start right then. It's
Good
going to
advice.
be way better for you.
Also, one other thing, they announced a new John Wick TV series as well that they're shopping around.
What's it based on? Does it say?
It literally just says that I think we'll take one of our great action franchises starring Keanu Reeves, and I think it'll be a television series. That's literally all he said. I don't know if that means Keanu is going to be in it. He definitely has better things to do.
He said series? He said,
Yeah.
Okay.
A television series.
Like, what if they redid Point Break as a TV
Not an
show?
animated series.
Okay.
Would you watch an animated John
The
Wick?
last thing I want to look one of the
Yeah,
the whole reason to watch John Wick is to look at all the guns. I don't want to see animated versions of guns. I want to see real versions of guns. There was a really good video the other day that was going viral of Austin Butler training at Terran Tactical, doing a bunch of mag reloads and
saw that.
tactical reloads and stuff like that. It was really, really good. And I'm just picturing him like doing that, and I laugh because I still, like I said, I watch a lot of old television where they just didn't know, they just weren't as up on actually using firearms properly back then. And one of my complaints, like when they did the Justified reboot where they continue, it's not a reboot, it's a continuation, and it's like 10 years after the original series aired, like they're following proper procedure with while holding their weapons and stuff like that. Whereas like in the old ones, they're holding it down. They're they're
upright,
or up,
or
like it's like very easy to enter their space and get it away from them. But I'd rather they just did that because it felt real to the show. Like, why did he learn this like 20 years into his law enforcement career? Why is he holding it close to his chest now, but he wasn't the whole time he was a U.S. Marshal?
Takes you out of it now.
continuity.
Yeah. It made me laugh. But or like a lot of it, like I love old shows. Like the guy will be like, instead of like marrying his thumbs, he's like holding his wrist, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Oh, gosh.
I love how bad it is. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. So yes, I have no interest in a Twilight series. I don't imagine that many guys do, but maybe they'll do like Twilight meets 50 Shades of Grey, and it will be like 2008 or 2012 puked all over it.
Ew.
Yeah, because we already had that era of like Vampire Diaries and True Blood and like every vampire show you could possibly think of.
The originals and all of those. Yeah, all of the. See, no,
Like a vampire
here's the thing.
explosion.
We were just talking yesterday about making people ugly in Hollywood again. If you want to bring back attractive people, that was the era where all of the people in those shows were good looking.
Yep.
No, vampires are supposed to be
Exactly.
good
Like,
looking.
or
For no particular reason.
If you're gonna do ugly vampires, actually make it a theme of the show. Make it the ugly vampire show, where it's like, where like somebody's like, they're like, I'm a vampire. They're like,
Didn't
"Are
you
you
mention a vampire series called like Bitten?
Yes. Laura
This
Vandervoort.
is the worst title
The worst
ever.
title. Laura Vandervoort's
It's just about rabies.
but she's super hot though, so that makes sense, you know. So, but like no, like they do. You should do a series where somebody's a vampire, but they're just not super good looking, and nobody believes him.
So they can't bite anyone because they can't lure anyone into their home.
He's like trying to hit on women. They're like, get away from me.
Ew.
Like,
No.
who do you get to do? Seth Rogen has to play the vampire, and everyone's like, get away from me. You're freaking
Probably
gross.
Michael Cera.
That would actually be great.
Yeah.
Be good. They can
Yeah.
do that. All right, let us move on, shall we? And speaking of Avatar: The Last Airbender, seasons 2 and 3. So apparently, it's doing very well.
Not just 2, but 3 seasons have been given the green light at Netflix.
I'm sure you're excited about this.
I mean, is it just because whatever is on the suggested page on Netflix is going to get a lot of play, and then they think it's way more successful than it actually is? Like,
I don't know. Can it survive off the name alone? Like, I guess.
I don't know. Like, I feel like it's just okay, so it's not getting hate the way that maybe Rings of Power did. But it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
Like, you can just watch the original if you like it so much.
I wonder if does anybody know? I should know this. If One Piece got its 2nd or 3rd season announcements, I'm imagining
Not
that
sure.
it probably already got a 2nd season announcement, but it probably didn't get 3.
Well, it says it received high ratings and outranked The Sandman and One Piece, which is insane that even Sandman got high ratings, because I watched the first episode of that and it was just it was laughably bad. I don't understand what Netflix is doing. Like, it wasn't woke, it was bad.
I heard it gets more woke as the show goes on, but that's the point is Netflix. Netflix is
literally,
also
who cares?
Netflix has such a lead on all the other streamers that it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah.
Like basically Bob Iger was saying during his most recent conference call, he's like, we gotta get on Netflix's level as far as like actual technology, which is funny because the Netflix app for me, I've had horrible luck with it. It's gotten like, I got like a newer TV, but the one I had before, Netflix would just crash at any given moment. You hit the fast forward button, it's like psych. And then it would just go back to the main menu on the Roku, like on the Roku TV. So I don't know if that was a software issue or what that was, but it would constantly happen. It wouldn't happen on the other apps. But most of the other ones, like the lesser used streaming services, have really, really bad like players. Like the Paramount Plus player is basically a play button and that's it. And it's like you can hit fast forward and rewind on the remote, but like it doesn't have like the next episode feature or go back or anything like that.
It's hard to get to it, I think.
Yeah, it feels like those things like don't these people like go look at the competition and be like, oh, we should do that. Oh,
Right.
we should do that. That seems to make the most sense, but they just don't make any changes.
No, they're highly incompetent and stupid.
So the fans across the globe have embraced Avatar: The Last Airbender, leading to 2-season renewal. That's about right though, because Netflix loves to do 3 seasons and then you're done.
Oh, well, they need 4, right, to cover each book.
Yeah.
Each element has a book, so you're gonna have to do 4 if you actually plan on finishing
3
it.
seasons in a movie. That's
Yeah,
what they do.
is
3
that-
seasons in a movie?
Yeah.
All right, guys. I just want to point out we talked about this a little bit yesterday. They posted this really grainy photo of Kate Middleton because of all the hullabaloo going around about her lack of appearance in front of the cameras lately.
Is she dead? Is she stuck in
Yes.
a royal dungeon?
When
What's
was the-
happening? Did
when
she
was
run
the-
away?
When was the
Royal
last time
dungeon.
you saw a photo this grainy?
Yeah,
Sasquatch.
it doesn't.
Literally, like that might as well be Bigfoot.
The newest Samsung could take a way better photo than this.
There's people taking
From
photos
afar.
of the moon now with their Galaxy S24s
Right.
that show where the American flag is on the moon.
Yeah, I guess she was just in the car with her mother near the castle, and this is the first time that she's been spotted since her hospitalization.
But this is the cleaned up image of her. It does look very Weekend at Bernie's to me.
yeah, like the sunglasses, everyone was already joking about how they were going to Weekend at Bernie's her, and the
Yeah.
sunglasses isn't helping. And she just has this kind of like dull look on her face, but it's definitely her.
You think it's her?
Whether it's her corpse or her wax figure, I don't know, but it is her.
I like the idea better that it's a Mission Impossible mask that someone's
Yeah.
wearing. That actually Prince Harry is.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's actually Harry or Meghan.
It's Harry. Actually, yeah, it's Meghan in there trying to. And she purposely made the mask ugly too because she doesn't like Kate.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's better.
I hope she's okay.
We can only hope. But I just laugh at the idea that they actually made the photo grainy on purpose because they wanted to obfuscate and keep you from seeing what she actually looked like right now.
The media is in the palace's pocket.
Yeah. A fake or a body double. Kate Middleton has a mole above her lip, right below the apple of her cheek.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
There's, oh, look at the sleuths are out. It's not there.
So it's not her.
Well, what was she hospitalized
Really?
for? Maybe she's just sick and like looks different.
Well, they said that it was an abdominal surgery. That's all they said, really. And they said it would be a couple of weeks in recovery, and it was more than that. But no elaboration, and they were basically like, stop asking
It
questions.
says the whole photo seems fake. How many cars have 3 wheels on one side?
Bro, it's the fucking
It's the
car behind them.
Yeah. There's actually
Sorry for my
technically
language.
There's actually technically 4 wheels behind them.
They're getting a little bit too conspiratorial with this.
But that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
That's
But did she get the BBL? Like, when is she unveiling the results?
That's good. A British butt lift. It's not a Brazilian.
A British butt lift?
It's still small.
It's very gray and boring.
Yes.
Just kidding. For anybody watching from the
butt
UK, I apologize. You know, it's much more
That was
polite
racist.
and daintier than ours.
Uh-huh.
All right, here we go. Taylor Swift. She did in fact throw her hat in the ring for Super Tuesday, though she fell just short of endorsing any candidates.
Yes.
She basically said, "Go out and vote for who you think represents you best." And Ukrainians and Israelis everywhere went out and voted because that's where all our money's going.
She said, today is the presidential primary in Tennessee and 16 other states and territories. I want to remind you guys to vote the people who most represent you into power. If you haven't already, make a plan to vote today. And she promoted vote.org again. I highly doubt that she even wrote or posted this. But yeah, no Biden endorsement so far. So far, so good.
So I started thinking about this after I read this. Like, what if she just doesn't endorse? Like, it would...
It's probably what she's planning on doing.
She
Yeah.
endorsed in 2020. Maybe she just chooses not to endorse this year.
I could see her doing it like at the last second.
She
Isn't
waits-
that what Jay-Z
Actually,
did?
maybe
Jay-Z and
she's
Beyonce.
waiting to endorse until it's absolutely set in stone that Trump is the opposition candidate.
See, what I think it is. I want... Because I'm all in for Fetterman 2024.
Oh, really?
I really am. I'm all in for Fetterman 2024, and I think what he needs to do...
He needs the Swift
He
endorsement.
needs the Swift endorsement so that we can get a John Fetterman presidential run. Like, he needs to run as a third-party candidate.
Yeah.
I'm down.
For what party?
Like the birthday party, Kanye's party.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah.
can go for that. I'm all in on Fetterman, and that's who I'm gonna get a shirt for it, and I'm gonna get a lawn sign to put out this
Well, that's
year.
what she's doing. She's waiting for the Fetterman announcement.
He's Pennsylvania, right?
Oh, she's originally from Pennsylvania.
Yeah. She's all in for Fetterman
There you go.
2024,
Okay, hometown
baby.
advantage.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm all in for this. I'm Team Fetterman all the way, and I'm thinking that he can run with George Santos.
Do you think Taylor Swift is actually officially a resident of Tennessee?
Probably not.
That's insane.
I don't know where she is.
She's never home.
She's you know what it is? She's a resident of Plain because of all the memes about her traveling places.
She
with
is
the
a
plane.
global citizen at this point.
She's literally the first globalist citizen where she can vote in any election she wants in any country.
Yeah, she's in the air more than she is touching the ground these days.
My favorite was the one that said like Taylor Swift going to the bathroom at the Super Bowl and she gets her plane and flies to the other side of the stadium.
She paraglides.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so he says it's a no-brainer on Fetterman. Yes, that's the meme. It's a vote for Fetterman. It's a no-brainer. All right, guys, there are more fake Superman legacy images. It's not even called Superman Legacy anymore. It's just called Superman. From the Man of Steel's birthday, a new batch of fake David Corenswet Superman images have surfaced online, which is duping fans into thinking they are real. This is going to be, it's crazy how much of a problem this is going to become for everything.
For every
in the
movie,
future.
not
Like,
just this one.
I mean, not even just movies, but life in general.
Yeah.
Now, like, this stuff is gonna happen in presidential races. It's gonna happen on every level. But here are these pictures.
Yeah.
James Gunn previously confirmed that these costume tests were fake. These are not real images.
These I would not have been able to
tell
because the background. It's also they took a picture of their laptop monitor.
And it's the same. It's that same account that posted the one.
Shade of
day.
Alchemy.
Yeah, Shade of Alchemy.
Yeah, but then James Gunn had to debunk again.
It's like the movie never gets made because every day he has to post that a new image is fake. It's just a way to delay it.
Glad you think he looks great, but there's no leak. The only photos taken of David in the Superman suit are on my phone, and I'm standing with him. Well, I guess we'll have to wait for those leaks.
His phone gets hacked. And
Yeah, they're going to hack his iCloud. Don't tempt them.
Yep. And the funny thing is he does. I thought he almost looked Henry Cavill-esque in that first.
He
photo.
does.
Same.
Like,
Yeah.
at first I thought what it was like the first one was a real one of Henry Cavill, and then they like superimposed his face.
They
on the
face
second
swapped.
one.
Yeah. That would be more believable. I just am surprised there's this much organic interest in Superman Legacy.
Superman and Batman, they defy the public narrative around these movies now. So like as much disinterest as there is around superheroes, especially when it comes to casting stuff. So when and if they move on and they decide to cast a DCU Batman and not use Robert Pattinson's Batman, which is its own thing, there will be just as much interest in what that Batman will look like. Like I said, when they cast Ben Affleck as Batman, they said, bro, stay off the internet for like 2 weeks because it's going to be hell for you on there. And it was a little bit, but his organic love of the character, like his first desire when he got famous was to build a bat cave in his house. Like he wanted to do that at the first house he ever bought.
How charming.
He loved the character, but that was back when people actually would have bought into. I mean, he actually did, right? He's friends with Kevin Smith. Like nowadays, if a celebrity says they like superheroes, you're just like, okay, well, you're just saying that because you have to say that now.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a little bit different back then. So
I mean, I'm
images,
still waiting for the Elliot Page Superman to leak.
gonna happen one day.
Yeah.
Yep. What if they cast Elliot Page as the Joker though?
In the People's Joker?
Just a really, really scrawny looking Joker.
Maybe it could work. Yeah.
Really, really evil. All right. This is crazy. K-pop star Karina apologizes after her relationship goes public. So K-pop fans are a different breed.
They're insane.
They're
yeah.
insane. So a K-pop star has issued a groveling apology after incensed fans accused her of betrayal because she has a boyfriend.
Yes.
This is why so many famous women on the internet will be very they will be very muddled about their answers when talking about whether they have a significant other or not, because it can affect your job.
Okay, but this is the most insane part. Apparently, fans of this K-pop star drove a truck to her agency after finding out that she was in a relationship, and they put up an electronic billboard on the car that said, "Is the love given to you by your fans not enough?"
Whoa.
She's like, well, the love from my fans can't keep me warm at night.
Who funded this? Like, who was in charge of this? Is this also a crime? I guess they weren't at her house.
Yeah.
But do you have to be seriously mentally deranged?
She says, I apologize for surprising you greatly, she said, promising to show a more mature and hardworking side in the future.
What?
The singer, yeah.
What does that have to do with having a boyfriend?
She's 23. Like, let her live. Goodness. They expect these K-pop stars to be superhuman.
I mean, were they like that about, I don't remember because I didn't listen to boy bands, but were boy band members expected to be like kind of seen that way, or girl band members?
I mean, the girls that boy bands were dating, they got hate, sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a coordinated, crowd-funded campaign to like intimidate them into being single like this.
It wasn't as big. And I feel like it's more creepy towards a woman just because we're like more vulnerable.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do remember the Jonas Brothers, when they were big, they all wore like purity rings. And then when it came out that Joe Jonas and like
their
Nick
dad's a
Jonas
pastor.
had, they were super religious. They started off, I think, like in their church choir or something. But when it came out that Nick Jonas was dating Miley Cyrus, she got a ton of hate. When it came out Joe Jonas was dating the girl from When a Stranger Calls, like Camilla something. I forget her name, but she got hate, but not on this level.
He also dated Taylor Swift and Demi Lovato as well, right?
Yes. Yep.
Or
about
Selena Gomez in the mix somewhere.
I
I don't know. They were all dating each other.
Yeah.
They were passing around diseases between each other. But they never, like, no boy band member has apologized for dating or being in a relationship. Like, that's never happened to my knowledge. It's insane, though.
So you're going to have to explain this Noah Cyrus stuff to people.
Yeah, I really hope that Noah Cyrus is the only person on the planet who has ever experienced this. Can you imagine being in a love triangle with your own mother? Like, fighting over a guy with your own mom. Noah Cyrus was apparently in a friends with benefits type of situationship with this actor Dominic Purcell, who was on Prison Break. Yeah. He is 54 years old and Noah is 24, so that's kind of weird, first of all. But then after they, broke things off, her mother, Tish Cyrus, she slid into the DMs and she started dating the same guy, and now they're married.
She slid into the guest bedroom at the house.
Ugh.
You married your daughter's friends with benefits guy? Like you married your daughter's sneaky link.
He's closer to the mom's age than he is to the.
She seems like the type of mom who would do that, though. I feel like all the kids have issues.
Like Tish Cyrus started dating and then married her daughter's sneaky link. Like, I just can't even imagine. Like, this is some Greek tragedy type of material. Like, it's just gross. Also, Noah, you reportedly did not attend the wedding, which
Shocking.
this might be why no one knew at the time. They thought that it was like her playing favorites toward her dad, Billy Ray Cyrus. But in reality, it was probably this aspect that makes it super weird and disturbing.
Oh, you mean the fact that her stepfather has seen her nude?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that might be it. Yeah.
Yeah, that could have something to do with it.
Also, apparently, Miley Cyrus was the one who organized the entire wedding for her mother and walked her down the aisle, and all the while had no idea. She was never told about this situation. So now she finds it disturbing. But yeah, this says Noah and Dominic Purcell were seeing each other in a friends with benefits way, off and on. They stopped seeing each other, and then Tish started something up, says a source. Tish knew he had been seeing Noah, so she wasn't ignorant, but she kept Miley Cyrus out of the loop, and no one decided to tell Miley as she's paying for this whole wedding.
Noah Cyrus looks like you typed into like generative AI text screens, like make a human that looks dead inside on the outside.
No, I would probably look dead inside if I were in this situation too.
She looks like as if dead on the inside was on the outside.
She looks like Marilyn Manson in the 90s.
She looks like Madonna now. Which is unfortunate for a 24-year-old.
I don't see a walker anywhere there, so I don't think that's actually true. But that's or maybe.
Remember when she was with Lil Xan? They looked equally just like dead inside.
The good old days. But yeah, he's it's weird because he's a pretty like prolific actor on television. He's done a lot of work, so
he should get some hate too for this, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Get your bag, King. Do your thing.
Ew! Now she's Eskimo sisters with her own mom.
Oh.
That's disgusting. I can't think of something more disgusting. Actually, I could, but I'm not even.
I feel like usually it's the other way around, or that's like the fantasy, I guess, is like you date the mom and then you date the daughter, or the.
But he did it the reverse way.
Yeah, and he went the other way.
He's like,
around.
look, I won't be hampered by tradition. I'm going to do this the opposite direction.
Ugh, just
Hollywood,
gross.
man.
Yeah.
All right.
Seriously.
Well, we can move on, and we can do something cringe or cute of the day.
That wasn't cringe.
That wasn't cringe.
Oh, that was too cringe for me.
Well, you decide,
So
Sarah.
I say we go with cute of the day today.
All right, we'll do cute of the day first. We got a couple here. First things first. This one here is from Beer and Gear. It says Pima, the Mally mix, making sure no one steals the pillows.
So cute.
Cute.
That is very adorable.
Like the cheetah blanket.
And here is from Honest Adam says, here's Lily the pup and Wolf the kitty. They are both still alive and doing great. See, guys, this is how you do cute, not sad. That is adorable. The cat looks very caged.
A lot of people send in their pets, post-mortem, and we always give them an RIP and a compliment. So I think I'm okay with it. But yeah, stanced up there.
I didn't even notice that kitty in the background.
They have to be separated. They're not really friendly. They're not on good terms.
All right, very cute. Let's do cringe of the day. All right, Dylan Mulvaney, who took down Bud Light almost single-handedly, has now decided to take on stand-up comedy.
Sounds like a pair that totally makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would feel like I was a part of something bigger than myself. That was a double entendre. Look at me doing stand-up.
Hated that.
The conservative men are just pissed that I can beat them in beer pong. And the conservative women are pissed that their kids are calling me mother in all of my Instagram posts.
Well, that's not creepy.
Okay, well, he's saying it like the slang term, like mother. Have you seen that?
Yes.
That's what.
But
That's
it wasn't
what he
funny at all.
Why are you dressed like a 7-year-old girl though?
That the past 2 years have given me a lot of material. And we're in Salt Lake City, so I'm gonna do some stuff around my Book of Mormon show that I was in. I've got some beard jokes, a little bit of everything. And I think everyone should try stand-up at least once in their life because
No.
there is nothing scarier. And afterwards, you feel like you can literally do anything. Okay, wish me luck. I'm about to go on, but I do look hot though, right? This is
Nope.
good. This is good. Okay.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not good.
Still look like a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah. No, not working for
You
you.
know who's like actually a trans person who like is actually really funny? Is formerly known as Chris Crocker, but Kara Cunningham.
Oh yeah.
Like I follow.
He did transition, didn't he?
Like her Instagram posts are actually funny, and I will like out of respect call her a she. Dylan Mulvaney.
But
not
wasn't the
funny.
Leave Britney Alone video like not satire? It was serious.
Yeah, so at the time, like he was always a YouTuber. He was like doing YouTube before it was even a thing to be a YouTuber or an influencer. And like he would always do these weird satire videos, and then he did the Leave Britney Alone because he genuinely loved Britney Spears, and that's the one that blew up.
There's a $20 one here from Bender the Offender. Says, my eyes.
Sorry, we
Yep.
apologize for your eyes.
All right, Mary, it's time to tell everybody what's going on with Drake Bell.
Yes, the former Nickelodeon star Drake Bell has just decided to be a part of this project called Quiet on Set. It's a 4-part documentary series that is going up later this month, talking about a lot of predators who were allowed to work at Nickelodeon around a bunch of child stars just like him. And he specifically is speaking out about his experiences with a dialogue coach named Brian Peck, who has since been arrested and convicted of those charges against him. At the time, though, this is interesting. He was arrested in August 2003 on more than a dozen charges related to SA allegations involving an unnamed minor. And because this documentary is coming out, a lot of people think that unnamed minor, who remained anonymous at the time, was actually Drake Bell. And finally, at age 37, he's deciding he is comfortable talking about it in the public eye. This says, in May 2004, Brian Peck pled guilty to performing a lewd act with a 14 or 15-year-old and to oral copulation with a minor under 16. It remains unclear who these victims are, and Bell has not yet specified the nature of the abuse he experienced, although he is likely to do so when Quiet on Set airs later this month. Then Brian Peck was sentenced to only 16 months in prison and ordered to register as a sex offender in October 2004. If you guys aren't aware, Drake Bell was on Drake and Josh on Nickelodeon. I know I watched it and loved it. It was like one of my favorite Kino shows for Zoomers. Did you watch it, Sarah?
I did, yeah. It
Yeah.
was like one of my favorite shows.
Brett didn't watch it.
Before my time and I didn't have cable.
It was before your time or after,
Or after
your
my time and I didn't have cable.
I think it was in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, after
and
my time, I didn't have cable.
before that, Drake Bell was on All That, their kids version of SNL, basically, like sketch comedy made by kids for kids. A lot of interesting ideas coming out of the mind of Dan Schneider at the time. Some of them not so savory for children, honestly. Shouldn't have been around children. We learned that from Jeanette McCurdy when she put out her memoir last year, right?
Yes.
I'm glad my mom
That might have
died.
been at the end of 2022. No,
Maybe.
it was probably 2023.
Yeah, where she referred to the creator, who
Yeah.
was very obviously Dan Schneider, and he had a pattern of predating against her. But this is about Brian Peck, and no one had heard of him. Like, he was relatively unknown until now. I had never heard of this guy, but he was a dialogue coach, an acting coach, basically, for these child stars. Thank you.
I'll refrain from dancing during such serious...
No, I'll dance. I'll dance. I don't care.
Continue.
So there was a teaser clip that showed Drake Bell. It says, Drake Bell will be sharing publicly for the first time the story of the abuse he suffered at the hands of Brian Peck. So that's very unambiguous. And then I wanted to show you guys a trailer for Quiet on Set. It's Quiet on Set, the dark side of kids' TV. It pulls back the curtain on an empire built by Dan Schneider that had an undeniable grip on pop culture, Series such as All That and The Amanda Show, among others, were obsessively consumed by children across the country and defined comedy for a generation. But behind the upbeat on-screen presence on these shows with questionable jokes and over-the-top sketches, Quiet on Set reveals an insidious environment rife with allegations of abuse, sexism, racism, and inappropriate dynamics with its underage stars and crew.
We got a $20 one here from Dreamcast Night. It says, so I wonder how many angry celebrities were caught on Diddy Cam and forced to toe the line by going more and more TDS. It's usually the male celebrities that were shocking in their early career. Suddenly they toned police. I mean, I don't know if it's that. I mean, you could absolutely be right, but a lot of times I think what it is like as you age, you mellow. Like I'm not. There's no examples here in front of me, so I can't tell you exactly who you're talking about. But I'm saying that it's not uncommon, like a Howard Stern, to do the shock jock thing when they're in their 20s and their 30s. But as you age, you just mellow out because you're part of the establishment now. You've got your $200 million Sirius XM deal, and you pull the ladder up behind you.
Who are we referring to right now?
He's just saying celebrities that were shocking in their early career and suddenly they tone police. Like, I don't know if he's talking about comedians or rappers. I mean, musicians don't always change.
Yeah, I don't know if that's referring to someone in particular, but let's show the trailer for Quiet on Set.
Here we go, guys.
In the early 90s, Nickelodeon was kid everything. And you better hope that your house had cable.
Wasn't there to educate you. We were there to have fun, to get slimed, to be entertained.
And this is when Dan Schneider arrives, Nickelodeon's golden boy. He created these shows that were hugely successful for them.
No one had ever really done sketch comedy starring kids for kids.
He launched the careers of child actors who became major stars.
For 20 years, he shaped children's entertainment and culture.
Hey, thank you for being here.
But that marked one of the darkest chapters. Working for Dan was like being in an abusive relationship.
Dan's treatment of people on his shows was an open secret.
So my lawyer filed complaints, gender discrimination, hostile work environment, harassment, and it was so devastating.
How safe can any kids be in that environment?
There would be even bigger problems down the line with actual pedophiles on set.
These are 3 predators who worked at Nickelodeon, all in a short amount of time.
Hey guys, we're ready for you.
It was a toxic environment. It made me trust people less.
We were there for so many hours. You get comfortable with people until you're not. I had no idea what I was saving my son from. It was a house of horrors. They find this enormous trove of child pornography. The officer said we found Ziploc bags, each one with a girl's name on it. 11 charges of child sexual abuse related to a child actor.
It made me wonder who was being hurt.
I've been waiting 17 years for today.
It wasn't dealing with anybody on the shows or anything, right?
It was a child actor.
On one of our shows.
Yes.
Have you ever told your story publicly before?
So one of the actresses that was in there is Alexa Nicholas, and she was on Zoe 101 with Jamie Lynn Spears. And I saw her post about her appearance saying, I was never believed as a child when it came to my experience at Nickelodeon with Dan Schneider. Now so many brave individuals are coming forward on the record. Time for healing. Even though it took 17 years to get here, I want this doc to show those who don't believe survivors and harass them are on the wrong side of history. The truth will always prevail. And quite literally, I was pregnant with my baby Truth while filming this. So this is coming out on March 17th. And Alexa Nicholas specifically is like hosted protests outside of the Nickelodeon headquarters and everything, and been very vocal about her experiences at Nickelodeon. more so than others. I think that the bigger stars are not likely to say anything because they have more to lose. By that, I mean like Ariana Grande, Victoria Justice, Josh Peck also. I wonder what he's going to say about this. Also, in case anyone is confused like I was, Brian Peck is not related to Josh Peck. They just happen to have the same last name. It is not the same person. They are not related. And also, when I Googled Brian Peck, I got even more confused because I saw this headline about another man named Brian Peck who didn't work at Nickelodeon saying, "Man who dismembered his mother gets 62 years in prison." And that is not the same guy.
Which is worse, though.
But the Nickelodeon Brian Peck walks free.
There's a $20 super chat there from Cobra Commander.
That one lady said it was an open secret, meaning none of us had the integrity to speak up because that would endanger our meal ticket. Most days you can't get women to be quiet, but these ladies kept silent for years. Odd. It definitely is. And I definitely am interested in hearing their own justifications for their silence.
Yeah.
My guess is in these documentaries that will be sidestepped.
Especially if it's somebody who isn't a victim themselves. You can't blame the children for not coming forward or speaking out because they didn't know any better. And they probably didn't have any adults who were on their side who would advocate for them if they did.
Yeah.
But for the adults who were complicit in the whole thing, I really don't feel bad for you and your stupid gender discrimination lawsuit.
That was
don't
what was
care.
shocking to me is like they led with that.
Like
and
that's
then that's what you're focused
putting
on here?
that on the same level as
the abuse of
pedophiles
children.
working at Nickelodeon. Like that just seems wrong to me to put those on the same level. But somebody in the chat pointed out, doesn't Drake Bell have his own allegations of being a child predator? And that is absolutely true. So a couple of years ago, Drake Bell was sentenced to 2 years of probation on child endangerment charges, felony child endangerment, and also a misdemeanor charge of disseminating matter harmful to juveniles. And this was because he had an inappropriate relationship with a fan of his that he spoke to online. It says the victim, who is 19 in 2021, but was 12 when they met on the internet, she said she spoke at length about the damage that Drake Bell had done to her life, saying that he had began grooming her when she was 12. She said she initially felt loved and protected by him during online chats, and his messages became blatantly sexual after she turned 15. She said his remarks made her feel uncomfortable, but she felt trapped because she idolized Drake Bell. Sounds familiar. She said, I was one of his biggest fans. I would have done anything for him. She said that she and Drake Bell exchanged explicit photos online, and he engaged in sexual conduct with her on several occasions, including at a concert venue in Cleveland and at a hotel. She called him a pedophile and a coward. And also, at the time, he pled guilty to these charges. However, that doesn't mean that he is admitting guilt. That might just mean that he was advised to do so for a lighter sentence, right? And I looked further into this. It's unclear how true those allegations are, even though he was convicted. Someone on Reddit said, this specific case that led to his life falling apart was mostly BS. I'm not saying I agree with that, but this is what they said. The accuser's aunt, who was with her during the Drake concerts she attended, told the court that the girl was lying about meeting Drake Bell, stating she was with her the whole time. Her narrative was that they hooked up after the show in Cleveland, and it was debunked fully in the courtroom.
Yeah.
The part that was true, and where he is an idiot, is that he sent sexually explicit texts to the fan, and that he did it without checking her age first. Really dumb behavior from even a C-list celebrity, and why the guilty plea was the right call in this circumstance. The second she revealed her age, he ghosted her with a creepy HMU when you're older text and ceased contact. That's the whole case. Not defending him being a creep, but the whole dangerous predator shit is untrue. It's sad that he was probably driven to contemplate suicide over this, considering the news that just dropped. So I'm not saying I agree that it was mostly BS. I have no idea but it sounds like he definitely had an inappropriate relationship with that child.
Yep.
And it doesn't make him super credible when he's making allegations about what happened to him as a child.
So if he ends up in this documentary, are they going to even address those?
I would love to know.
Like, are they going to be willing to address the fact that, like, okay, so as someone who has now been convicted of his own form of abuse, or I guess it's not technically abuse, it's online behavior, right? So it's not considered, sometimes it's not physical abuse, but
it's still a felony.
He has been convicted. Will they address the fact that as someone who was abused, you went on to become an abuser? Because that would be the narrative you'd think that they would carry through on this, or will they just conveniently leave this information out of the documentary?
Yeah, most of the comments about this were like, yes, I feel bad that this happened to him, but I also don't feel bad because it sounds like he went on to do the same thing to another child. And then others responded, you know, this is a common pattern that you see with victims of child abuse, that they end up offending quite often due to the trauma.
It said 30 to 40% go
That's
on
high.
to be abusers.
That's a lot.
Yep.
And you know, obviously that doesn't absolve you of guilt. You know, wrong is wrong, and you should know that as an adult.
Did they ever acknowledge, did she send him the message, or was he just reaching out to random girls on the internet?
I don't know.
Because somebody in the chat said, ladies under 18 need to stop trying to hit up dudes over 18.
She was 12. I mean, obviously she needed her parents to protect her.
I was a little confused because did you say in the court of law they ended up proving that he didn't know how old she was, and once he found out, that's why he said hit me up when you're older?
Yeah, he found out, but it's like if they started talking when she was 12 and then it became sexual when she was 15, how did you not even get the inkling that this person was not an adult? You know, like I have a feeling that he knew but didn't want to explicitly find out, you know?
Yeah.
That's the creepy part. So it's definitely creepy and sus, and like he should address that in the documentary, but I think it's unlikely that they're going to address it. This is also interesting. So Brian Peck was recently in the news because cast members from Disney's Boy Meets World were talking about working with him and becoming friends with him when they were child actors. They were talking about this on their podcast Pod Meets World. And it was because they brought it up because this documentary reached out to them for comment to see if they would be featured as well, but they instead wanted to speak about it on their own platforms. So this says Brian Peck guest starred on 2 episodes of Boy Meets World in season 5 and became fast friends with Ryder Strong and Will Friedle at the time. I guess they were teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Kind of weird that an adult would be like BFFs with teenagers anyway, but
kids are not but they're not living normal lives.
I know, this is normal for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know that that's odd. So when Brian Peck was accused of SA in 2003, allegedly by Drake Bell, he allegedly called Friedle and was crying while, quote, instantly spinning it to where it wasn't his fault. It was clearly the fault of his victim, who is possibly Drake Bell, quite possibly Drake Bell. Friedle admitted that he believed Brian Peck at first. Quote, my instinct initially was, my friend, this can't be. It's gotta be the other person's fault. This story makes complete sense the way that he's saying it. And then Brian Peck requested that these 2 kids support him in the court case back then, which they did. And Will Friedle said, we were sitting in the courtroom on the wrong side of everything. The victim's mother turned and said, look at all the famous people you brought with you, and it doesn't change what you did to my kid. I just sat there wanting to die. It was like, what the hell am I doing here? It was horrifying all the way around. But you still defended the convicted PDF file. It's just like, you're still one of the people that protected him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult because most people are never going to be in that position where they're asked to defend a friend of theirs against such heinous accusations, but
they're kids and they're being asked by an adult that they trust. They're clearly being manipulated, and they were groomed.
Right.
And he probably did that for this reason, in case he ever needed people to testify on his behalf.
He was always nice to me.
Right.
I never saw him do anything. It's always that. response. And, you know, that doesn't say anything about someone's true character. It just means they hid it from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am really interested to see this. I wish that it wasn't 4 episodes. It should just be like one whole project.
Yeah.
But that's airing on March 17th. I saw someone say 2024 is the year of revelations. And this is because it's like right on the heels of the Diddy lawsuit and everything that's coming out with that. People talking about Michael Jackson and about Justin Bieber and Usher. But I don't know. I hesitate to say something like a strong statement like that. 2024 is the year that we all find out.
No, one person in all of these settings gets sacrificed, and the rest of the evil people are hid from the masses.
Right. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's wishful thinking, I think, to say that this year is the year when all of the bad people in Hollywood are going to be found out, and we're going to convict them, at least in public opinion.
It's also one of these things that should shine a light on the way Hollywood works, you know, in these industries with kids, on these kid shows. These things have not gone away. There is still plenty of entertainment that is geared towards kids, which have kids working with adults on a regular basis, and very little has changed in this industry. No matter what people say post Harvey Weinstein, you know, it's not like there's any more accountability than there was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Not really. And what somebody said earlier was saying, why are these kids being allowed to work these long hours with adults? Well, the parents are, you know, I just can't imagine there being parents these days who aren't aware of just how evil, you know, these aspects of Hollywood actually are.
I mean, now it's even worse because there are parents peddling their children as child influencers. Now anyone can be a stage parent with millions of people watching. So if anything, that's only like ramped up. It's only become more accessible to be a stage parent.
And there's even less protections in that realm, right? Think of what happened with Ruby Frank. There was still laws in place that don't allow kids to work more than a certain amount of hours a day. They still had to get their education, even if it's, you know,
and they had their money protected.
Yes, exactly. Now the money isn't protected. They can work as many hours as Tiger Mom tells you to record your stupid videos, and that's the evil of it, right?
Yeah. I actually just watched this documentary about John and Kate plus 8, and about how after the kids had grown up, whatever state they were in, I forget which state it was, they kind of came to the revelation and they conceded that yes, that was considered child labor and it shouldn't have been allowed to happen, but they never ended up like pressing charges for whatever reason, probably because they would have looked bad as the state for allowing that to happen. But yeah, it's definitely like it's child labor.
And something else I saw pointed out on X by Dom Lucra is that it was a running joke in Drake and Josh that Josh was obsessed with Oprah Winfrey.
Oh yeah, I remember
and
that.
idolized Oprah. It was at least mentioned once per episode that he's like obsessed with Oprah and in love with her. And they even like went to an Oprah Winfrey screening, or not screening, but like a studio audience one time. And then he like he like ran her over with a car on accident or something in the show. But yeah, they just mentioned this was like a running joke, and it says Oprah didn't appeal to the age group of this show, so it's strange that producers would force this. No exaggeration, Oprah was mentioned once on almost every single episode, and they even had a special Drake and Josh runs into Oprah episode 1 of season 4. Why did these producers admire Oprah so much? It is weird, given that now she has a different reputation.
I would say I think
for like being friends with Harvey Weinstein and stuff.
Okay,
like that.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say that could be for the parents that are subjected to watching these teen shows with their kids. Like Oprah applies to them.
Just thought that was worth a mention.
That's a good point.
It's weird, right?
It is weird.
There were a lot of weird jokes that weren't kid-friendly in Nickelodeon shows. That one is not even that's just the tip of the iceberg. But the foot stuff, the foot fetish content that they were having child stars make on television, like it was weird. There was a lot of like themes of kids showing their feet, like putting their feet in different substances and like toes and everything that was like highly that was definitely a running theme. And then there were these videos of Ariana Grande when she was playing Kat Valentine on Victorious, where she was doing this exclusive content for their website, That was like, it was a bit where she's like squeezing a potato and it obviously looks like something.
Those were like
there were a lot of
blatantly
sexual references and innuendos in these shows made for kids who don't understand them, but it's an inside joke to the adults who are involved in making this content. I think Dan Schneider is definitely notoriously a foot fetishist, but you know, keep the kids out of it, man. Okay, let's go to Super Chats. Shane H. Wilder said, happy Wednesday, Brett, Mary, and Sarah. Brett wants PCC tire valve caps. I've delivered.
Yes, I saw them on Twitter.
What?
Very good job. They were talking about somebody in the chat was talking about how like their tire was flat, and I said we need PCC tire valve caps. And he's already made them.
Is it going up on the Teespring any minute now?
P-Tran says, like with Tarantino, he liked feet. Yeah, but Tarantino's an adult.
At least he likes Margot Robbie's feet,
and he likes
Salma
Salma Hayek's
yeah,
feet.
she was like 25. when
Yeah,
she
and
shot that
he
movie.
mysteriously casted himself in that scene. You know, when you got to get the job done right, you do it yourself.
Love it.
Not saying it's not weird, but at least it was adults, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
He likes adult feet. T-Dog said, Showtime's The L Word understood its target audience, LGBTQ women and straight men. What is the L Word?
It was a TV show.
Did you watch it?
I did not watch it.
So you're not gay. Got it.
Not my demographic. Let's do one more.
Next one from Shane H. Wilder. Can confirm bros do talk mad-ish. This is why tomorrow there will be a Brett Fatsovic meme based on him eating Sheetz tacos.
Yeah, but that's me who calls myself Fatsovic. So
it's only okay when you do it.
Well, I mean, it's okay when other people do it. That's fine. But like, I originated it. That's my term.
Okay.
TM. All right. Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact. Let's go ahead and talk about
Yeah.
Dakota Johnson, shall we?
Seems like Dakota Johnson, since starring in Madam Web, she's undergone an intense ego death from just the utter monumental failure flop that this movie was in the box office. Critics gave it like a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it definitely isn't making its money back. That's an understatement. But we can appreciate at least that she owns her part of it, and she is not going to do a movie like this again, according to herself in this new interview with Bustle. They asked her, does it bother you when people write nasty reviews? And she said, unfortunately, I'm not surprised this has gone down the way it has. So you and me both, Dakota, honestly. And they said, is there a reason for that? She said, it's so hard to get movies made. And in these big movies that get made, it's even starting to happen with little ones, which is really freaking me out. Decisions are being made by committees, and art doesn't do well when it's made by committee. Films are made by a filmmaker and a team of artists around them. You cannot make art based on numbers and algorithms. My feeling has been for a long time that audiences are extremely smart, and executives have started to believe that they're not. Audiences will always be able to sniff out bullshit. Even if films start to be made with AI, humans aren't going to effing want to see those.
Look,
but it was definitely an experience for me to make that movie. It was an experience. It was definitely a movie. I had never done anything like it before. I probably will never do anything like it again because I don't make sense in that world. I know that now. But sometimes in this industry, you sign on to something and it's one thing, and then as you're making it, it becomes a completely different thing, and you're like, wait, what? But it was a real learning experience, and of course, it's not nice to be part of something that's ripped to shreds. But I can't say that I don't understand.
What's funny about this is she's kind of paraphrasing all the things that Chris Stuckman was saying when he did his review of Madam Web, which is that the studio interfered.
Yeah.
The studio wouldn't let the art be the art. The problem is he's making excuses, and she's not so much making excuses as saying like, this is how it happened. I understand why people are mad when something like this doesn't come out right.
Right, like if he gave Madam Web a negative review and pointed out everything that was obviously wrong with the movie, Dakota Johnson, if she had seen that, she'd be like, I get it. I agree with you. You have valid points. I hated this movie too.
Yep.
She signed on to something not knowing what she was signing on to. And I think that seeing all of these negative reviews, she feels like validated that she wasn't the only one who hated this movie to shreds. Like in the interviews, you can tell she didn't like it. And also just in the scenes of her character, she seems like she doesn't want to be there. She just signed on to this because she thought it was going to be an MCU movie and got totally scammed.
Right.
All the bad reviews that talk about the studio interference, that talk about all the bad stuff, I was like, none of that matters because the performances were wooden and awful. It does not
like
matter.
they didn't do their part at least
Like,
to counteract the interference that was
exactly.
coming from the studios, which I don't doubt happened because the villain was killed by a Pepsi logo.
A bunch of bad dialogue that's delivered, and a bunch of scenes that don't make any sense, and a bunch of terrible cuts and edits are all awful. But none of that matters if the actual lines that even make it into the film are also delivered horribly, right?
And I don't know if Dakota Johnson is even good at acting. Like, I've never seen her in anything else. She's mostly known as the 50 Shades of Grey chick. But in interviews, she comes off as entirely the same as the character she played in Madam Web.
Exactly. And I think that this is like, this response here could be a great blueprint for any actor. Now, this doesn't have to be a big time actor, but anybody who gets into one of these big budget movies and you want to know how to handle the backlash, this is about as bad as a backlash as you're going to get that isn't connected to like ideology in the same way, because this wasn't a get woke, go broke situation. This is just a bad movie. And if you want to learn how to take your L and come out looking good to the audience, this is exactly how you do it. You don't go around and blame the studio and blame the fans. You acknowledge that there are efforts within the studio that don't work well when it comes to storytelling, if that is indeed the problem. Or you say, look, I get it. It didn't come out the way we wanted it to. We'll try to do better on the next one. And I think every person can understand that because nobody bats 1,000 in life. Like, it makes you instantly more likable to the common person.
Well, she didn't exactly place any blame on herself other than, you know, I don't make sense in the superhero film.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
world.
Like, this is masterful. She doesn't
But it
even
was
have
like,
to say, like,
you weren't exactly giving it your all, you know? Like,
she's not even saying I'm the problem. She's saying, like, you know, it didn't turn out great.
I mean, they had deadpan Kristen Stewart in Twilight, and that still worked. It doesn't always work. So it's her, but also she's very like articulately and kindly criticizing all of Hollywood by saying art can't be done by a committee. Which is a huge problem right now.
Yeah.
Well, is that why they liked Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades of Grey? Because it's a Twilight fanfic, and it was essentially the same character as Bella Swan, but in the corporate world?
I've never made that correlation, but I very well think that could be why. That
seems like it. Also, Verbal Riot tweeted, Dakota Johnson may have been in the worst movie of the year, but what she's saying about the current state of the film industry is spot on. Gotta respect her being outspoken about this when so many cowards in the industry just stay quiet and continue to peddle shit.
Well, if she wants to do like esoteric indie projects, then she's not burning any bridges.
She's a Nepo baby. It's what they do best.
Like, she doesn't have to worry about where her next meal is going to come from.
No.
So she's more free to criticize these things about worrying about blowback, which oddly enough will make you seem more sincere. Whereas for the average person, it would probably mean more from someone who does have to worry where their next meal is going to come from to say this stuff.
At least she didn't sit there in interviews being like, I grew up loving Marvel. I was the biggest fan of Marvel. I was a comic book nerd. Like, no one would have believed it if she said that anyway. She was just blatantly like, yeah, I don't really give a shit about Marvel. I never watched a Marvel movie in my entire life, and I still haven't.
I prefer that now. Like, if I can't have somebody who 100% loves the source material, which is very hard to prove now, because back when these movies first started getting made, it wasn't cool to say that.
Sure.
Now it's cool to say that. So it's watered down. You don't know who the hell is telling the truth or not. I would rather have a really good actor be like, I don't know, like, sure, like, I'll do the role. That's fine.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a job.
Yeah, it's a job. Like, I had no problem with, because people were wrongly pointing out and saying that that's what people were criticizing Rachel Zegler for. No, it's not. Nobody cared when she did it. They didn't care when Jacob Elordi did it. They were criticizing her for vastly different reasons than that. I have no problem with an actor being clean and detached and being like, I go to work, I come home from work, I go on with my life. It's your job.
Like, Dakota Johnson didn't sit around talking about how much she hates Marvel and how much she, you know, is proud to be providing a modern update to, it's not the same thing as Rachel Zegler at all. She handled it gracefully. Also, Sydney Sweeney deserves some credit because she threw shade at the movie too. On her SNL monologue. She was like, you probably haven't seen me in Madam Web.
Look, this goes back to the example.
Cared about Madam Web.
This is the example I always give about celebrities read mean tweets. People liked it because it allowed people to kind of poke the nose of a celebrity, and they would have to kind of take their L and be pushed down a pedal. There's a reason why, you know, court jesters are allowed to mock kings, right? So nowadays, with celebrities being what are basically considered royalty by a lot of these people in the general public, it's not cool when the celebrity then dunks back at you and with their large platform and makes themselves look not only like shallow, but also very, very small and unable to take criticism.
She probably didn't know she was doing this, but in this statement, she's BTFOing everyone who called you a misogynist for not liking Madam Web.
Yeah.
Or not liking the Marvels, for instance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I stand Dakota Johnson now. I really don't find her that likable. Like, just from watching these interview clips, she always seems just dejected and cynical and like hates the projects she's in, doesn't watch them.
I imagine Bobby
she doesn't want to
Althoff
be
loves
there
her.
no matter where she is.
Very average.
Her and Bobby Althoff would be like a personality mid-off.
Time might actually stop, like, from being so boring while they interview each other.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just, she didn't really put effort into the acting because this is her personality.
She would be the worst blind date
Web.
ever. Like, you go on the blind date and you're just pulling for every
You're like,
sentence.
oh, so you're an actress. That's really interesting. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like not that
It's
interesting.
that person where you literally have to dig for answers. You're like, oh yeah, so what's that like? Yeah, I don't know. I go to work. You know, it's a job.
Like, how are you good at improv then?
Yep.
I don't know.
I appreciate it in an age where the celebrities don't know how to take criticism. This isn't even really her saying that she was the problem, but she still managed to.
She was part of the problem.
But she
though.
did. No, she was. She was a huge part of the
She
problem.
was a huge
like,
part of the problem.
on top of the editing and the horrible direction.
What wasn't a
reshoots.
problem in this movie?
Sydney Sweeney.
Even Sydney Sweeney's acting was just so bad.
Sydney Sweeney, you know, I mean, I don't really look at Sydney Sweeney for the acting per se, so that's.
She wasn't even wearing cleavage.
I know. Again,
So
she
what
was the problem.
that?
The costume department.
What
was the
about
problem.
what about Sydney Sweeney was like worth your money?
I didn't say that she was worth the money. I'm just saying she wasn't a problem. She wasn't a net positive, but she wasn't a net negative. She was right there in the middle.
I feel like they were all equally bad, except for Adam
Honestly,
Scott.
no. The upside was the Pepsi product placement. As a former Pepsi drinker, I am 100% in the corner of
As a recovering Pepsi
Did it make
drinker.
you want to drink Pepsi?
It did. And okay, so when the Pepsi sign literally killed someone, I was very excited. I was like, this is awesome.
It was like a metaphor.
That
for
Britney
Pepsi.
Spears interview with Tucker Carlson was playing in my mind.
It reminded me of the giant Mountain Dew machine that gets thrown around in the Transformers movie. And I always wondered where that machine ended up. Like, did that kill someone? Did it crush a car?
It's at the bottom of a lake somewhere.
Yes, it's fantastic. So good for her, and her critique of art being made by committee is 110% correct. The problem is she's going to want to work on independent films, which will work for her. You know, that's not going to be art made by committee. But if you want to be in these big budget motion pictures, you're going to get a lot of stuff that checks a lot of boxes while making nobody happy whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's a problem.
Cobra Commander said, I just pronounced Reese's as diabetes. Solid choice. Hiroshima Otaru said, HB Reese Candy Company created the Reese's Cup. I feel like I want to say both. Now I'm not sure.
They're saying, like, because there's
My
an
whole
apostrophe
reality is
and
called
it's a
into
possessive,
question.
it's Reese's.
Okay, so their last name
Yeah.
is Reese.
Yeah,
So it's
it is.
Reese's.
Yeah.
Like Brett's, Sarah's,
I don't care.
Mary's.
I don't care. Cobra Commander said a kid at Nickelodeon got slimed. What else is new? Ugh.
Oh, come on. Dude, I'm not going to watch that documentary because it's just going to ruin my childhood.
This is why you have to develop a steady, like a very, very like firm detachment from all things in Hollywood.
Say what you will about Dan Schneider, but he is really talented. Like, he made great shows. He
Yeah, that
was
was,
the
like,
golden
peak
age of
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. He created that for them.
What were the
He was
things,
excellent
were
at
the
what he did.
things he accused of sexual in nature, or was it just
Yes.
that? Okay, they were.
Partially. I mean, it was all of it. He was incredibly
it's like-
hostile.
Okay,
he was
so when
very
they're-
angry and yelled at people.
When they're talking, when they're doing all the this is why I had a problem with the way that they weaved in like the gender discrimination
Yeah.
stuff. It's like they're like, and he was mean. I'm like, bro, to be a director, you have to be a bit of a dictator,
Yeah.
and you have to be harsh with people. This is the same stuff that Joss Whedon went through.
Like, if
It
he
is-
just yelled at people, would anyone care? No.
That's the problem, right? Like when Olivia Wilde was talking about how when she makes movies, she wants everyone's opinion to be heard. That's not how good movies get made most of the time. It has to be a singular vision that works with other people that help bring that singular vision to life, right? That's very, very difficult and leads to a lot of conflict on set. Now, that is very different from somebody who is abusing children. But they wove those together and made it seem like they were the same thing.
Like adult victims are in any way on the same level of traumatized as the child victims. It's totally ridiculous.
It's like the Kirsten Dunst thing that I read yesterday. And I literally, Kirsten Dunst had this like super W take where they're like, hey, would you like to do another Superman or another Spider-Man movie? She goes, yes, they pay you a lot. And I have 2 kids and a mom I take care of. I'm like, awesome. She's not like, oh, I love Spider-Man. I love that character. I loved being in those movies. It was such a big part of my blah, blah, blah. No, I want the money. Okay. That was awesome. But then she's like, she talks about being traumatized because what was it they called her?
They called her a girly girl.
And she's like talking about that now. I'm like, women in the workplace who say stuff like that, just imagine like it's 2004 and you're holding on to this anger because people called you a girly girl on
Worse
set.
things could happen to you in 2004 on a Hollywood set.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I just laugh at, I mean, I know it's not funny, like it's very serious, but I laugh at the idea that like, no, this actually happened according to people who worked with Dan Schneider. He was like at some point just sequestered off into this small dark closet of an office, and he came out whenever he needed to work on set, and then he was sent back. And it was because he had yelled at people so much and made people cry, like grown adults. He was making them cry.
The same stuff.
I'm sorry though, if Dan Schneider yelled at you, we don't care.
The same
We don't
stuff happened
Least
with,
of our concerns.
Yeah.
with Joss Whedon and one of the actresses on Buffy, like that, like he wasn't allowed to be alone with her.
I'm just picturing Dan Schneider like in his closet office eating like spray cheese and
Reese's.
and Reese's.
And Reese's, yes.
Yeah. Just wasting away. DCNC said April 1st, quickly approaching. What you got planned for us? Announcing the OF for the dogs.
What dogs?
Whose dogs?
Feet. Slang for feet.
Oh, my dogs are barking.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not going to be
dogs?
starting an OnlyFans. We'll have to figure out our April Fool's plan.
Let's do one more.
Urashima Otaru said, I think Reese's is from people shortening cup to C.
Ugh. And correct in the chat, Titer is like it was Michelle Trachtenberg who was the underage girl that he was not allowed to be alone with.
But it was only because he was mean,
And
right?
and Charisma Carpenter and him did not get along. He would she got pregnant and he's like mad at her for getting pregnant and call her fat and stuff like that. She had an awful time working on the show, which is a bummer because Charisma Carpenter was very oftentimes the best character on both Buffy and Angel.
Are you
Was
going to
she,
do that to Mary when she starts having kids?
Yes,
on
I'll be
the
like,
show?
stop it!
Was Charisma actually fat?
No.
Okay,
No,
so he was
she
just
was
being mean.
she was curvy. She's
Got
she's
it.
and no, but curvy by 2004 standard or by 2000 standards means she was actually curvy and not just fat.
Right.
What's her name?
She was
Charisma
Carpenter.
Carpenter?
She's beautiful. She's still beautiful. Yeah, she was oftentimes the best character on that show.
Oh, Nick C said, I like the shows with Coffee Girl. She emits a chill vibe.
She's
Thank
very
you.
You have a chill vibe, even though you sell coffee, which should mean you're wired all the time.
Let's hold off on the rest and let's come back after the fact,
Okay.
shall we? Let's talk about Rihanna.
Rihanna recently performed at an over $100 million wedding in India for the son of an oil billionaire. And a lot of fans are angry at her and they feel like she scammed them because she gave such little effort in this concert.
She's just like, look, I got paid. I got to go home.
Okay, it looks like she's pregnant, okay? So she's not even able to dance like she used to. So she's physically impaired in that sense. She can't twerk like she used to. She's got this big baby bump. She had to travel internationally for this. And in these videos, it definitely looks like she's phoning it in. I gotta be honest. So Rihanna is accused of ripping off Indian billionaire with lazy performance. She was paid $6 million and did little work, despite singing the song. Some criticized a few performances in which she allegedly pretended to perform some of her dance moves.
I did see that at one point she like thought about twerking and then like stopped.
She was like, yeah, never mind. Like, I'm not up to it right now.
Yeah, maybe it's not the best place to do this.
Yeah, right. She was getting cramps. You know, she might have gone into labor on stage if she were twerking too hard. I understand.
The fact that
it's very demanding work.
Is respectable.
Right, yeah. But for $6 million, though, I understand why they're mad. I do. Apparently, Ivanka Trump was there. Bill Gates was there. Mark Zuckerberg was there. Just a lot of different, you know, randomly selected rich people.
What I think Mark Zuckerberg... So I saw a couple of great things. So people were saying... did you see recently that Jason Kelce retired?
Yes.
I love this idea. I don't know if it was in our chat or in like the John Boy, like a John Boy post about him or something. They said what he should get a reality show where he goes around to various football teams and joins all of the tailgates at various teams as if he's like exploring the cultures of the various, because he's got that energy.
It's like the diners, drive-ins, and
dives.
dives of tailgate culture.
We need Mark Zuckerberg to have a show where he just goes and tries to interact with humans.
He genuinely seems like the most innocent tech billionaire.
Like of all of them.
Which isn't saying much, but...
There was a funny thing the other day that said, it was like a meme after the outages. He goes, and I'll turn them off again if you guys don't start behaving. Like, I still think that one day when Google doesn't get their way, they just turn off Google Maps. Like Google and Apple just turn off all the maps and they say, do what we want or none of your employees will be able to get to work.
Show the video of Rihanna here.
Okay, here we go.
Just to give everyone a sense.
Let's go full screen. There we go. Here we are.
She's barefoot.
Barefoot and pregnant. Trying her best.
The backup dancers are putting in a lot more work.
For a lot less pay, Sam.
For less pay.
How many months pregnant is she?
6, right?
Oh, she's pretty pregnant.
Yeah, she's definitely noticeably pregnant here.
She's like, yeah, but it's $6 million, right?
Yeah.
Which to her isn't really all that much.
She's like, you gotta pay me $1 million for each month pregnant I am. But yeah, this is the wedding for Anant Ambani, the youngest son of Asia's richest man. The event, including the wedding and pre-wedding festivities, reportedly cost $120 million. And it had a 9-page dress code. Obviously, the private concert by Rihanna. A feast of 75 types of dishes for breakfast, 225 for lunch, 275 for dinner, and 85 types of items for the midnight meal. And they just have invited all of these random rich people to get publicity around it, I'm guessing.
Right.
Shouldn't she be getting leeway because she's pregnant? Give the lady a break.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
What were you
agree.
expecting?
I agree.
Jessica Vaughn left a comment under here that says, they contracted her for 17 songs. Quality gets cut somewhere when you want someone like her for that long. That's why we curate what we make for public consumption. The entire thing isn't going to hold weight. Overall, looks incredible.
Didn't look incredible.
I mean,
but...
incredible. That's a little, you know. Like,
For a 6-month pregnant lady, like she's half twerking. It's pretty impressive.
This says it was so over the top that the Daily Mail wrote a horrified piece noting the extravagant celebrations took place just yards from where some of the poorest people on Earth eke out a living. So it was also getting hate because it was so extravagant and over the top, and you know, $100 million. It is over the top, decidedly so.
I agree about like when people say that's way too much money to spend on a wedding and it's extravagant. But when they say things like, "Oh, this is right next door to XYZ," what are they supposed to do?
Yeah,
to take
invite
the
all of
wedding
the homeless
and put it
people to the wedding,
Well,
right?
I mean, and that's Hollywood being hypocritical because every time they host an award show, they literally have to clean the homeless people off the street and ban them until it's done, and then they let the homeless people back on the street. Also,
and of course, they have armed security, even though they're anti-gun.
All those things are, and it's also the wealth thing. It's relative, right? Yes, it's a lot to you and me, but it's not a lot to this person. Just like for a person who makes a lot of money, it's not a lot of money to just choose to fly private all the time. Whereas to me, that would be an unbelievably, extravagant expenditure. I can't do that. They can. focusing on that will just drive you nuts. And I think that type of envy is where a lot of the problems in the culture come from right now.
I mean, I don't even express envy in saying this. I think it's just shocking and interesting that some people on Earth live like this. Like this family lives in a 27-story tower. Yep. And it was the first $1 billion home on the planet.
I
Like,
also
that's
think
crazy.
that, like, for a lot of them, for the people who make it, like, who become extremely wealthy without their families, I always laugh when people are like, let's put them on an employee salary and see if they can make it. I'm like, they would be able to make it. They absolutely would. You would readapt. You would figure things out and you would make it. Now, if we're talking about the kids of billionaires, the kids of millionaires, sure, that's different. But human beings always end up adapting. But that's a cope from poor people. And believe me, like, it's not like I'm of wealthy means. It's like they don't realize that you just come off as jealous of somebody else's success, not realizing that most of these people would find a way to adapt and become successful again.
Right. It's like even if they had that $100 million, they would find something else to complain about. Or they always point the finger at some other wealthier person.
It's so funny. I watch these old shows and you can see like where the gripes in the culture have gone. Like I said, I've been watching this old show called Third Watch, and there's a lot of people who are in hospitals, and you don't hear anybody complain about like the cost of healthcare because it's the year 2000 and Obamacare hasn't happened yet. So you just see how things have changed or what people are complaining about based on the time period you're living in. And right now, it's the have-nots who care a lot about complaining about the haves, when most of the time it just seems like a waste of energy, at least at that level.
Based on looking at these videos of Rihanna's performance, you shouldn't be jealous of the people who are there at all, because she wasn't putting in any effort, and they basically called her out of her retirement era to do this. And if it takes $6 million to get her to leave the house these days.
Also, this is the free market.
Is it
at
worth
work
it?
Here. This is the free market economy. She's able to work for the money she wants to work for. If they offered her $5 million, and she's like, I will not work for $5 million, but I will in fact work for $6 million, right? That's the beauty of it.
I mean, it's just shocking how different of a culture they have. I think that Rihanna was also getting a lot of praise for taking pictures with fans in India, because apparently Bollywood actors and actresses rarely deign to do so. And I guess they have this, class pressure because of the caste system there, where they're not willing to interact with people of a lower class than them.
Yeah, like, so I have like a couple of I've never followed a Bollywood account, but a lot of times they end up in like my recommended feed, and it will be like Bollywood women, and they're just like, the amount of pictures that are be taking of them is just insane. And they always just kind of look kind of superior to everyone.
That's how their society works.
It's kind of interesting. Like their celebrity, they seem very, very invested in their celebrities in a way that even we are here.
But weirdly, like, they're invested in our celebrities. That's why they invited Rihanna to perform at this wedding instead of someone in their own culture from Bollywood to perform.
And like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg.
And all of these, like white American celebrities,
that's also
and politicians
networking.
and
That's networking opportunities.
Clearly, yes. But even just like in pop culture terms, they seem to idolize Western influences.
Celebrities
more
are
so
our
than their
greatest
own.
export. Celebrities are sadly our greatest
Sadly.
export. Our greatest export.
Sadly,
That and weapons, I
yes.
suppose.
Pop culture and weapons of mass
it's a huge
destruction are our biggest exports.
We got Rihanna.
Huge influence.
We've got Rihanna, Mark Zuckerberg, and Lockheed Martin, and that's what we've got going for us. Thank you. That's
America the
fantastic.
beautiful. Also, just something I saw on the timeline at the same time as Rihanna's performance was an interesting juxtaposition, is an influencer couple who does travel vlogging, who was originally from Spain. They visited India because they were on a quest to visit every country in the world, and 11 hours into their trip in India, sadly, they were attacked and they got beaten up, and the wife got gang raped by 7 Indian men. And they made a video explaining to their followers that this happened. They said, "Something has happened to us that we would not wish on anyone. 7 men have raped me. They have beaten us and robbed us, although not many things, because what they wanted was to rape me. We are in the hospital with the police. It happened tonight here in India." And they were shocked that this happened because if you look at social media or you look at pop culture, the way things are portrayed or the way different cultures are portrayed is always the most flattering image, right? But you don't actually look at the reality.
There was a meme that was going viral a couple of years ago. It was like an article headline said, "Why Iran should be on every woman's travel list." It said, "Who the hell wrote this? The head of human trafficking?"
Right.
It's so insulting to the people who are like dying to get out of there and can't.
Right. They're just a tourist destination or
And this is
a drone shot.
This is a very like American issue of people not realizing that you have you sit here and complain about the West while living here, not realizing the
How good you
unbelievably
have it.
safe world that you live in here
Yep.
compared to all of these other places. And these are not necessarily even people who live in the city. These are women from New York who aren't living in the safest place if you're living in New York City.
It's
right?
why when you call people on their bluff too, where they're like, if you hate it so much, why don't you leave? They're like, oh, well, I mean, you know, we got to fix our problems first. It's like, because they don't want to leave because subconsciously or consciously, they know how good they have it here.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so infuriating to people who have traveled and do understand the challenges of traveling elsewhere.
Yeah.
That you have it very well here. You have it very good here. So it's one thing to complain about the system as a whole. It's another thing to complain about it as if bad things are unique to the West.
Right.
When they're
Sure.
not.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
It's incredibly sad that this happened to them, and I definitely don't feel any I don't feel like happy that they learned their lesson or whatever. Like they should have done their research, but this never should have happened in the first place. And they're probably not going to find the people that did this.
Thank you, Sketch Therapy. It was Pakistan in that meme. Why Pakistan should be on every independent woman's travel list.
Like,
who wrote this? The head of human trafficking?
This isn't going to be your eat, pray, love experience. This isn't going to be like a movie. This isn't going to be like the way it's portrayed in TikToks. You're probably going to get robbed or assaulted.
I don't like this whole travel bug trend at all, really. Like
wanderlust.
Yeah. I don't really want to travel anywhere other than America at this point, outside of America. I mean, like I would like to explore. I mean, it's an entire continent that we have here to explore. And I think that a lot of this wanderlust or whatever, eat, pray, love stuff is just people trying to escape their reality. And if you're not happy where you are, you're not going to be happy in India.
It's so
Trust
bizarre
us.
that like Westerners go to India to get spiritually enlightened or whatever and then pack their bags and leave, when in reality you're just opening yourself up to so much risk for no reason, especially if you're a woman traveling alone or apparently with a male chaperone too.
Yeah.
Because what is he to do if there are 7 men attacking the both of you?
And
It's just tragic, honestly.
Yeah, I'm sure like they know what to look out for too. Tourists stick out.
In the chat, somebody says, more to the story, they apologized for the assault and they did find the guys.
Oh, they did.
What?
Okay.
They apologized for the gang rape?
What they said was, guys, like, don't let this color your entire opinion of India. Like, it's still a beautiful country. And this is literally hours after they just attacked you. Like, you gotta be, like, clinically insane or indoctrinated to still be defending this culture where this is clearly like a widespread problem that they need to fix.
Yeah, no, it should be like what happened.
Like
to them
it's
is
racist
terrible,
to point
but-
out or something.
It's like the woman who her boyfriend or her husband was killed right in front of her this year, and she went and visited the guy who killed her husband or boyfriend. I don't remember if they were married or if they were just dating.
It was her boyfriend.
And she went and visited him in prison.
Yeah.
And advocated for him.
Whoa.
The virtue signaling is just
the
out of control.
The virtue, like the
Her
white
boyfriend
white Western women's ability
rolling in
to
his
virtue
grave.
signal through everything is actually quite shocking.
And you know what? All they were planning to do is make TikToks that show like pretty shots of the nature and like the street food and make people think that this is a great vacation spot. And this is what happened to them. Not worth the risk. Not worth it. All right, let's go to Super Chats. Mr. Joker said, Men in Black, Jumanji, Ghostbusters, cartoons, all fire.
I never saw the Men in Black.
I didn't
or
know
the
all of these
Jumanji-
existed.
Or the Jumanji one, but I have seen the Ghostbusters one.
Cobra Commander said, Schrodinger's Messiah, if the tomb is closed, he's both risen and dead. Like Robin Williams said, if he sees his shadow, another 1,000 years of guilt. I don't know what that means.
Is that in reference to Lent?
Or is it?
Jake Martin says, racist to point out that's what she's concerned about. Yes, in this culture now, you will get, doesn't matter what happened to you, you will be called racist for something. And that is, to a lot of people, the death knell to your life, because it's worse to be labeled as a racist now than a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like victim blaming 101 right there. Bucky Ducky said, Mary has to read super chats. We can send them hate comments this way. Mary, you talk about birth control the way vegans talk about beef. Well, if you want to sit here and defend birth control and be a birth control stan, then go right ahead and waste your time, buddy.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, Mark isn't even doing the 40-day challenge. He's only doing Fridays for like 6 minutes and leaving the heavy lifting to Jonathan Rumi and Father Mike.
Well, Mark Wahlberg's
There's
got
Hallow
stuff to do.
drama?
He's busy. Mark Wahlberg's a busy
Is
guy.
there Hallow app drama?
I think make
right
Father
now?
Stew 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Could they do a Father Stu Ted spin-off where they do a crossover?
Father Stead.
Well, it's just Father Stu and Ted becoming friends.
That'd be great.
Like, I want to see that.
And yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, DC&C said, channeling Shane Davis, all vampires turn gay eventually, something to the beach and watch the sunrise. Ah, what an episode.
I mean, isn't that true that there's a lot of that in vampire stories? Like, vampires are pretty bisexual.
Vampires?
I didn't see that in Twilight, at least.
No, not in Twilight. It wouldn't have been socially acceptable at the time in a big budget movie. In big budget movie, but I think in the actual lore and the stories, they're pretty. They're not picky.
I'm sure it's hard to find love when you're. What is
You take what you can
10,000
get.
when you're thousands of years old. Let's
Well,
hold
there
off
you
on
go.
the rest
All
and let's-
vampires turn gay eventually. That's what it is.
As society changes. All right, Mary, it's time to tell us, everybody, why the hell women are again making lives difficult for themselves.
They love doing that. It's our favorite thing to do. Imagine my shock when there is a new TikTok trend that is ruining people's relationships and tearing men and women apart and pitting them against each other. This one is the calling your boyfriend your husband trend. So you record yourself like you're recording a TikTok, and you refer to your boyfriend who is with you as your husband just to gauge his reaction. And then by the way he reacts, you'll know whether he is really husband potential. You will test his loyalty this way.
Guys,
it's a classic shit test, obviously. But
the best thing every guy can do is just pretend like there are no shit tests. Seriously, what I mean by that
is that the way to pass them?
What I mean by that is you're gonna start. It's gonna be like red herrings. You start seeing them everywhere. So just pretend like there are none, and be thankful if you never get shit tested, because it means that she's not sane. If you do and you fail, she's probably a bad person.
You know,
anyways.
you're right. It's a red flag if a woman doesn't shit test her man, because that means she's not even concerned with whether you're a good potential father for her children.
Totally.
It's part of female
She's
nature.
not paying that much attention to you. She's not thinking about you.
You're just
like
you're
it's a red
just
flag
kind of a
if she's
placeholder.
not.
She doesn't need to shit
way.
test you.
I thought
her mind is
women-
on someone else.
I thought women were the good
Possibly the
communicators. I thought women were the good communicators. Is there
Right,
no
we're
other
good
way to do
communicators
this?
because we don't say what we think out loud.
That's insane.
We
That's
understand it on a deeper level, which is why we communicate only with facial expressions and pheromones and shit tests.
No man on earth agrees.
And
no man on earth
manipulation
agrees
tactics. I know that no men agree, but look, this is just nature, baby. You can fight biology and evolution all you want, but you're not gonna win. So this man was slammed on TikTok after immediately shutting down his girlfriend for calling him her husband. Should we take a look at this video? The results actually is interesting. Like, I am watching these videos.
The trend, the one from the 9gits article.
This is the tweet from Ren. It says the difference is crazy.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, so which one? The first video or the second video?
The first video.
Okay, here we go.
Okay,
Hold
today
on.
I'm going to be guessing my husband's favorite things.
I'm not your husband.
So it's like
Okay,
he
today I'm gonna
failed
guess
the
my
test
husband's
there.
favorite things.
I'm not your husband.
What the hell is the right
He
answer?
failed the test.
Wait, no, okay. It was the tone.
It was the way that he instantly recoiled at the idea or the suggestion of being her husband.
Yes.
And that is how she knows that is the sign to run. That is how she knows. Look, okay, we're just joking. We're being silly and goofy. But I think there's something to it. I don't endorse this behavior because you're starting drama for no reason, but I'm not saying there's no internal logic to it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not insane, but I can't sit here and psychoanalyze it for you if you'd like. So he didn't laugh it off or like take it as a joke or as an accident. Like he clearly was really irritated.
Right.
I mean, do you think, like, what do you think? You don't think he came off as irritated? Do you think he was just correcting her?
As far as the tone in the like how quickly he said it,
yeah,
I think that the fact that she did it on purpose makes all of this pointless anyways.
I think he was probably already irritated because it's like, oh, my girlfriend is forcing me to record a TikTok.
Which makes all of this disingenuous and unrealistic anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Like, I don't know, including your relationship as if you're some kind of influencer and you have a platform is really cringy.
Imagining a life where this happens, and this doesn't just end once you get married. Then the shit tests continue. Hold on. And then the shit tests continue once you get married because there will be all sorts of other tests that they have to do. I'm not trying to live my life as if the woman that I'm dating is giving me exams. Sorry.
No, but she doesn't know she's doing it.
That's even worse.
Look, it's toxic.
That means you're not even self-aware.
Right.
We'll
I mean, women aren't
come to an agreement.
Women aren't self-aware. So what? So it's a red flag if a woman is consciously shit testing you, but it's an inevitability. If she's a woman, she's gonna shit test you. She just doesn't know that she's doing it in the moment. It's so subconscious that your passing or failing of the shit test is also subconscious.
I thought women were more in tune with their emotions.
They are. This is why it's all beneath the surface.
I think like the more subconscious it is, the more obnoxious of a person she is, probably.
There's a $20 super. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think some women are conscious of when they do it. At least in hindsight.
And that's toxic. I think that is toxic.
Ben Tomsky says, okay, check time. If men have to fight their biological urges to sleep with all the women they can, you women need to fight the urge to be game-playing psychos. Fair?
Well, look, I'm just saying this is an evolutionary tactic to find someone who is fit to be your protector and your provider and the father of your kids.
It's also a self-fulfilling prophecy where if things are going a little too well, you're gonna inevitably find ways to screw it up by micromanaging the way things go in the relationship.
Right, I understand what you're saying. But what Mary, I believe, is trying to say is that this is a part of our biology that's hardwired into our brains. And Jordan Peterson does actually talk about this, about how we have to push the buttons of the person we may or may not have kids with or are planning to have kids with in order to see how hostile they get in response to that. It's not a conscious thing. It's a protective mechanism for women.
That's actually a really good point.
And I'm not justifying something like this where you do a TikTok trend because you're already going to subconsciously do it whether you realize it or not. So why add to it?
Then in a lot of ways it ends up becoming moot anyways, because it's like saying a subject being observed will have the entire situation affected by the fact that they're being observed.
Yeah.
Right? So in this case, the fact that it's being done consciously means that it's going, as it becomes a trend and more people start doing it, it loses any effectiveness and just becomes something for people to look at as internet fodder anyway. So it's not actually sussing anything out. All it's doing is potentially ruining a couple of relationships so that other people can look at it and laugh.
Yeah, what it's doing is you're making your boyfriend into a zoo animal for the internet to point and laugh at, which, is undignified.
Under the guise of saying, look, I'm going to help you find a better mate. I'm going to help you figure out whether this guy is the right guy for you, not realizing that if you fall into this trap and you start consciously doing it, it's not going to work.
It's the worst of the worst women who do this to their boyfriends. Who not only
but
make
you just
them
said all women do it.
No, I mean specifically this. Like, I'm going to make you sit here and record another stupid relationship TikTok so that I can purposefully shit test you for likes. Like that. These are the worst of the worst.
What if
people.
the guy was like, I have to sleep with all the women I meet just to make sure that you're the right one for me? I mean, it's in my nature. I have to make sure that you're I have to make sure you're the most viable candidate to bear my children.
We obviously know that hurts your ability to pair bond with the woman in question. So that doesn't make sense.
I was told that pair bonding was more relevant for women than men.
It's relevant for both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if he's like, look, we want to have
Brett's
strong
turning
children.
into an alpha over
He's
here.
like, you want to have strong children. Like, you got to shit test me, and I'm going to have to sleep with all these women to make sure that you, too, that you will give me the best children I
that
can
really
have.
is relationships on the internet these days, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where we're going at this point.
The problem
It's
is
like,
is that it's happening online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that this stuff is happening online, and it becomes fodder for people to watch.
Yeah. Just don't imitate relationships you see online. How about that?
It's like the woman who said, like, my boyfriend cried and I got the ick. It's like his dad died and she got the ick. And it's
See,
just like,
that's what we mean. That's toxic.
Yeah.
like, imagine, like, and there are young men out there who read that who are now, like, their parents are going to die and they're just not going to cry because they're going to be like, look, I can't cry.
Because they believed the propaganda, you know.
Exactly.
Right, don't get
and the worst part of that is then she's like, and he's emotionally unavailable and he won't show me any emotions because we've sent men the other direction now. Now they're all overly emotional, right? Men are overly emotional. They don't know how to be stoic when they need to be stoic. Now it's going to go the other direction. The pendulum's going to swing back and some girls are like, his whole family died and he didn't even cry. What the hell is wrong with him? Because the dude read a bunch of content on the internet saying that you shouldn't cry ever.
Yeah.
And the internet is
Bad idea.
both
It
a
is
beautiful thing and an awful place.
It's terrible because men are being told to control and tame themselves so much, but women aren't as much. Not anymore, it seems, because a woman can push her husband to either be more or less emotional. And if he becomes, if she says you don't ever talk about your feelings, and he talks about his feelings too much, or he cries in front of her, she gets the ick and she neuters him, or vice versa.
What if the guy's like, look, you cry too much. Can you stop that?
Women can cry too much too. It's just a different threshold.
But you wouldn't be allowed. But is it socially acceptable for a man to be like, could you stop being so freaking emotional? You're called now. You're called now it's called gaslighting if you do that. You're being a little. You're acting a little crazy. You're acting a little bit like your mother.
We got a $20 from Boosted Yogi. When I know a shit test is coming from my wife, I'm not trying to start an argument, but ... Is that what she says?
I say just don't play and fail the shit test and go on. Like if that's
not
what
playing
it
is passing the shit test.
Like fuck the shit.
Not playing is passing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of still playing, but yeah, that's good advice.
And I guess it would probably be less applicable to a lot of men because they're not going to see this type of content. It's actually even worse than one side isn't talking to the other. The women are getting the idea to do these shit tests, and men who just aren't sitting on TikTok have no idea it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right?
Well, some of them, they pose it as a phone call that they're on, like a fake phone call where they refer to them in the third person as, oh, my husband will go pick it up. See you later. And they gauge his reaction from the background. So they're recording it secretly, which is even worse.
Guys, I want you to start doing the call your girlfriend your ex-girlfriend test to see what she does. I want you to start, or actually, you know what? It's the call your girlfriend your best female friend at work test and see what she does. Just to gauge her reaction.
That would be funny.
You should do that, guys.
Yeah. That's definitely not going to lead to relationship problems.
Look, and if she gets upset, it's because she doesn't trust you. And if she doesn't trust you, how can you have a long-term relationship with somebody who doesn't trust you? Everybody makes mistakes. Yeah, we'll just let's do that.
I like it.
I think that women benefit from, in terms of evolutionary psychology, they benefit from not being forthcoming with what they're thinking or feeling. They benefit more from communicating indirectly, whether they realize they're doing it or not.
Then why do they want men to communicate their feelings so directly?
Because men don't work like that, because they're different.
So they want men to communicate their feelings directly while women want to communicate stuff indirectly.
Yeah, because they're different.
So everyone should, rather than everybody indirectly communicating everything indirectly, one side says you yourself should communicate to me exactly how I want you to, while I communicate in riddles and sign language.
I think men should love the way that women communicate if they're not being toxic about it. Emphasis on that part.
There's an art to it.
Cobra Commander, upset Mary, think of it this way. You say women evolved to test and manipulate with words. Men evolved with greater upper body strength to nullify any words you might utter and use force. Should we use evolution as an excuse?
You mean for like?
I mean, I don't think that could be framed as the only reason why men are more physically strong and imposing than women.
I just think
because they have to fight off threats in order to protect women. That's the way that it's rightly used.
And I think
protect children and also hunt.
When these things, like when you're talking about these types of tests, yes, 20, 30, 40 years ago, when we were not in the middle of like a war on gender and a war on gender roles, when men and women complemented each other more, were allowed to complement each other more, all of this stuff fell in line much more easily and felt more natural. Nowadays, it's not shit testing as a way of making sure you have the best mate. There's something almost masculine about the way a woman would do it by posting it online because it's forceful inherently.
It's more like confrontational than you would normally see. I think that there's a broader issue at play here, though, because so many people, especially Gen Z and millennials, are perpetually stuck in a cycle of serial monogamy in relationships that don't have definitions or labels because it's all casual and we all have to be cool and detached and we don't care about commitment.
You're not allowed to care
We all have
anymore
this like secret fear of commitment, but we also like love being single. And then there's hookup culture. So the trend like this arises because you're so desperate to actually label the relationship you're in and give it boundaries, but you're going about it the entirely wrong way. But how would you know any better because you weren't taught any better?
Totally.
I think like the complementarity between men and women never disappeared. It's just that there's a constant war against it. Because, you know, division between the sexes can be used as a tool of control.
And a lot of it, I think, also is it's like this permanent idea that there's always something like the grass is greener on the other side, which I think a lot of people fall into these days. Like people are like actually scared, like that term scared of success. It's like it's working too well. I have to find a way out because maybe I could do better. Well, you know what? That's not the way you should ever look at these things.
Like the chase is more entertaining than
And
actually being in a relationship.
I think that type of stuff destroyed. Like there's so much in television and movies of people, of men and women shown as characters who always think, well, maybe I could just do a little bit better. And that's really disturbing to me. Like when something's going really, really well, it's almost a sign of your own insecurity to not be able to appreciate it for what it is now because you're thinking, well, maybe this could be better in the future or something could be better in the future. Right. And that goes a lot to like a lack of ability to settle down and a lack of discipline.
I think it's not just something else could be better. I think it's like I could find someone to serve my interests better.
Yes.
That's the way a lot of selfish people are looking at it, unfortunately. I've heard, I mean, I don't know why exactly. I've heard that Gen Z is super prone to cheating on each other in relationships, like in dating. It's just normal for Gen Z. Like this is part of Gen Z dating culture now. They all cheat on each other. It's
and
like,
they don't feel any guilt, I'm sure. I wonder if that's like they just don't feel any guilt for doing it because they haven't been taught to feel any guilt for it.
I guess not.
That's disturbing.
Yeah,
or
it
get
is.
attachment to that person in the first place.
Yeah, if you don't feel any strong attachment anyways, and none of your friends can even acknowledge what the hell a real relationship is because nobody wants to actually take things serious or keep it or they want to keep it casual, why would you feel any guilt for doing it?
And if it happened to you, then you feel justified because, you know, someone made you feel that way first, so you want to make them feel that way, that betrayed feeling.
It's disturbing, actually. Like,
gosh, I thought this was gonna be a fun topic.
Guess not.
It's kind of dark.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Corey Anderson said, "Hey y'all, have a great day."
Well, thank you.
You too. Gordon Shumway said on Rogan, Zack Snyder said his dream would be to direct The Dark Knight Returns. Thoughts, Brett? And who would be a good Batman to star in it?
Older Batman. I still would have loved to see Jim Caviezel do that as old Bruce Wayne in Batman. He's probably too old now. Younger
No, he's not. He looks pretty young.
Younger Batman, I still think Alan Ritchson would be a great Batman. I do. Look at
He's not too much of a beefcake.
I mean, Ben Affleck was enormous when he was playing Batman.
I guess I never watched
and he's 6'4". So I think Alan Ritchson is. A lot of people wanted Armie Hammer before Armie Hammer became Weird Armie Hammer. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that fell through. Corey Anderson said people who care that celebrities are in relationships are weird and should be tracked. Ladies, has this happened to you?
Not me.
I mean, like, I vaguely pay attention to what celebrities are dating each other, but it doesn't, like, hurt me.
My job
Never
requires
cared.
me to now, like, Mary has taught me more about this stuff than I ever cared to know about.
I'm like,
who is-
okay, so Timothy Chalamet and Lily Rose Depp
and I'm like-
attended the Met Gala,
I'm like, who?
and they held hands.
And I'm just like,
Does that mean your chances have been diminished? Is that why people care?
If you're that delusional.
no, they're
I
just
guess.
obsessed with women are more interested in the interpersonal connections between people. Men don't care. I do. Like when Mary tells me this laundry list of people who have dated each other, I'm like, were they great? Good for them. Did they end on good terms or not? Like, I have no idea.
It just inherently does interest me, but it's not because I'm like jealous of. I don't know.
I'm going to end the poll
I don't
before
get that
forget,
mentality.
ladies and gentlemen. And with 66% of the vote, unless it changes here before it
I
finishes,
lost.
with 66% of the vote, Reese's wins.
That's closer than I thought it was going to be.
33% say Reese's.
I'm gonna pull a Dakota Johnson now. I get it. Can't say I don't get it.
Take the L.
Corey Anderson said Noah is a dude's name, and she looks like a dude.
Noah
Cyrus doesn't look like a dude, but she doesn't look like a person.
Noah Tisby is a girl.
It can be a girl's name.
Yep.
It can be. Not that Jon Stewart.
That's another thing Hollywood loves doing, giving women men's names. They love it. They love to get female characters men's names. It's one of their favorite things to do.
Name an example.
I'm not going to be able to pull it off the top of my head.
Okay,
Go
never
look
mind.
up any
The only
movie.
thing I'm thinking of is didn't Gwyneth Paltrow name her daughter something?
Well, they give
really
weird names. I'm saying
Apple.
in movies they give the
in
girls.
actual movies.
It's Apple
boy-
Martin.
Yeah. The celebrities give them weird names. In movies they give them boys' names. Or television shows give them boys' names.
Yeah. Not that Jon Stewart said paying for a whole wedding without knowing who's in it. That's a whole another level of rich. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that applies to Miley and I guess to this Indian billionaire as well. Corey Anderson said Dominic just needs to get with Miley and he'll have the Triforce or maybe Trace if he swings like that.
He just
Oh my
he
God.
gets the whole family. And well,
Also, I didn't even know there was.
What
I
about
didn't
Billy
know.
Ray?
Noah has a brother named Bryson or Bryson or
Brayson?
something. I don't know. Okay,
Half-brother?
but I'd never heard of this kid, but apparently there's another Cyrus sibling. So, yeah, but Trace isn't related to Billy Ray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was adopted by Billy Ray.
In the chat, I want people to give your best examples of female characters with boys' names off the top of your heads, if you can think of any. I know. I said in the chat.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank.
I don't know. Corey Anderson said, Bender the Offender.
Oh, Joe Lupo in the show Eureka, which I was just watching the other day. Joe.
A woman named Joe.
It's a woman named Joe.
But it can never have the E.
No,
That's against the
and
rules.
and the best part is they had to do their best because it's played by a woman named Erica Sara, who's super beautiful, but she has to play like a deputy cop who has to be in uniform all the time. And then like there's always like one episode a season where she has to be in a dress, and you're like, yeah, sure, right, like, sure.
Shane H. Wilder said Dylan is as much of a stand-up comedian as he is a chick. No further comment. Lover of Green said, have you guys heard of Quentin Reviews? He makes 8-hour reviews on crappy Nickelodeon sitcoms. His videos are stupidly long but are fascinating deep dives on Schneider's tainted legacy.
Honestly, that dude is probably living his best life. If you make 8 hours of anything, you are doing something you love so much.
I thought you meant Dan Schneider. I was
No,
like,
Yeah,
no,
me too. First, I'm glad you clarified.
The dude making the videos is probably the happiest dude on planet Earth.
yeah.
Like if you're
Some
doing-
people are
Or
into
he's miserable banging his head against the wall because his OCD is forcing him to make 8-hour videos about Zack Schneider.
Like in my ideal world, I'd be doing 2-hour episodes a week about person of interest or like actual shows that I like that would allow me to go deep in depth on them. But it would it would require more post production and stuff, and work doesn't allow that because of the pace of daily podcasting.
so hard to be us. Shane H. Wilder said, now I want to know, did Kel really love orange soda or was he forced to love orange soda? In all seriousness, don't let your kids on these shows.
Chris Noski in the chat is right. Alex Hunter on White Collar. Yes, Alex Hunter. It's Alexandra, of course, but Alex.
And I thought of another one, Roscoe Conklin from Reacher.
There you go.
Roscoe's a boy's name, right?
I mean, Roscoe always just seems like a last name to me
Right.
more than a first name.
The Almighty Truffles said, hey, Rooster Teeth essentially shut down. It's laying off around 400 employees. Well, are they laying people off or are they shutting down? I heard that they were shutting down.
Who is?
Rooster Teeth.
They're laying off, so they're shutting down. They're keeping their podcasting stuff going, but they're shutting down everything else, I think.
What are they known for?
Animation, stuff like
But,
that.
like, anything-
Wasn't my stuff,
Okay.
but a lot of people are talking about it right now.
Dreamcast Knight said mellowing is true, but I'm thinking of the sudden heel turns in the last decade or so. People who suddenly are down with World Economic Forum agendas and DEI.
Is there a lot of people down with the World Economic Forum? Like, are there people who are like, I'm down with the WEF?
I guess the counter argument to there's going to be this great awakening. Like, if there's anything happening that's framed as a great awakening, I don't believe it. I mean, not just the fact that I'm a pessimist, but whoever is running the Great Awakening is probably even more corrupt than who's running these like global NGOs and everything. Corey Anderson said, the adults working behind the scenes at Nickelodeon could have just quit. This is just a cash grab for them.
Yep.
Well, I mean, is the lawsuit the cash grab or is the documentary the cash grab, right? Because they didn't need to publicize it if they just wanted a settlement payment, right?
Were they paid for...
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, I wouldn't call it a cope of... Thank you. I wouldn't call it a cope of poor people. It is more a cope of lazy people whose only sense of initiative is to complain online.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fair point out. Like I guess not poor people, of people that just like I said, haves and have-nots. I don't know if that's necessarily poor.
Haves or haves not the ambition.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, or the
Choosing
intelligence.
to have not.
Cobra Commander upset. Trust the science. Brent. Women, the ones who can't tell you where they want to eat or express their thoughts because of feelings swarming their little noodles, are the ones who are good communicators. Okay, when we tell you we don't know where we want to eat, we're giving you the opportunity to take charge and prove yourself. It's also a shit test.
Gentlemen say, guess where we're going to eat. And then when she when she suggests some place, just say that place.
She's not going to suggest.
But what
a
if she
place,
doesn't
though?
guess a place?
You got to make her guess.
Oh,
Well, that's
playing with fire,
Gotta make her
especially if
guess.
she's
I don't
hangry.
know.
Make her guess.
She's gonna say like a restaurant that's like an hour and a half away, or
Then you own it, my friend.
because you're acting like it's a big surprise, and then
Yeah.
she'll be like, "Oh,
She's just going to say the most expensive restaurant in the area.
you've already shown your tactic here." So, DCNC said, "If shit testing was to find a good father, why does it continue after marriage?"
Now you got to
Just to
make sure
keep-
that he's a good. No, first it was to find a good husband and father. Now it's to make sure he's going to continue being a good father. Has he lost the stuff? Is he no longer the man he once was?
That is
Well,
actually exactly why.
Women have to continue, you know, just on their lizard brain level. They're constantly, you know, trying to make sure that they have security and plenty.
Take
right?
her to Cheesecake Factory, boys. Remember,
She'll love that.
She'll love that. You're
That
not,
controversy was so dumb. I can't believe you just reminded me that happened. Like, how was that ever even a debate? Like, would you go on a date to Cheesecake Factory? Cheesecake Factory is actually pretty expensive.
Yep.
For just like a run-of-the-mill chain restaurant that has not special food. It actually is like way overpriced and overhyped. And I feel sick after I go there.
So if you really want to win, I think Mary's advice would be take her to Taco Bell.
Take her to Noodles and Company because it'll have her questioning where your relationship stands.
What does this relationship even mean?
Yeah,
Why are we
exactly.
at Noodles and Company?
Yeah. Pat the Plumber said, and here I thought Mary was the sane one. Silly me. Well, you should have known. You should have known. I'm a woman. Of course I'm not sane. Demo said, Inception, she thinks he failed the test, but she failed by doing it altogether. There is no analysis. Either the Gen Z brain cannot fathom anything past, see the trend, repeat the trend.
There's a lot of this also, we just live in such a safe world now that like you're not worried about where your next meal is going to come from. You've got a roof over your head. We just move on to make our lives more difficult just because it's the human condition to want to suffer or something.
I feel like our reasons for needing the opposite sex on both ends for men and women. Like our men's reasons for needing women and women's reasons for needing men have kind of been systematically eliminated.
Yep.
And then we're really confused because we still like want to be with someone, but there's no overt reason why you need to be for survival. So it's like, you know, as a woman, you can make your money, you can provide for yourself, you can probably protect yourself if you've got enough resources. And that's, you know, you don't need a man, but you're so confused as to like why you want one so bad. I feel like that's like the feminist conundrum.
Somebody suggested Cheryl says Max from Stranger Things. Yes, also Max from...
Oh, I remember that.
Max from Dark Angel, which came out in the year 2000.
11 counts as a as an androgynous name. Cobra Commander, Ben Tomsky said, talking to a woman is a spy game. Admit nothing, question everything. I know that they always know more than they are saying.
Make counter accusations, men.
Don't negotiate with terrorists.
Head on a swivel, boys. Check your six.
Ivolja75 said, speaking of tests, I can hear my town testing the tornado sirens. At least I hope it's a test. Maybe I better go outside and check. Oh, are you okay? You got cut off in the middle of your super chat there, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Jared Price said, Rooster Teeth got shut down, pillar of my childhood, but after the last few years of scandals, I was not surprised. Not familiar with the scandals.
Watching like animation and video games have all their own problems is very interesting because I'm just so disconnected from it. But like, what's all the stuff going on with Sweet Baby Inc. and all that stuff? I feel bad, much like how I feel for Star Wars fans and how they constantly have to be disappointed with everything.
Sweet Baby Inc.?
It's a video game company. It's it would take an hour to get into all of the drama, but it's ridiculous.
Okay. Maybe we could get other Sara on to talk about it.
She might like that.
Corey Anderson said, Mary, I meant, has anyone ever gotten upset with you for being with someone?
Like
probably, but it's not like I have to deal with it.
Not your problem.
You know? An authentic tin can said, my ex cheated on me back in 22. She had no remorse. I'm sorry that happened to you, bro.
That's awful.
She belongs to the streets.
She belongs to the streets.
Like Future said, like why women deserve less.
It's literally him. Corey Anderson said, my friend Sierra's legal name is Steven. Were they just not able to accept that they had a daughter?
Is Stevie a boy's name or is Stevie a girl's name inherently?
It's a bad name regardless.
I think it's a boy's name because it comes from Steven.
Yeah.
Because but also Stevie Nicks, Stevie Ray Vaughan, different examples. But Stevie is the name of a character on Madam Secretary, one of the daughters.
I don't like it as a girl's name or anyone's name, really. Bucky Ducky said, women are good communicators because they don't communicate. That's some real logic there, Mary. Maybe it's a good point, but you can't communicate it. Well, look, I think men don't understand that subtext exists and that there are ways to communicate aside from the words that come out of your mouth, right?
Yes, I would say a woman who's a poor communicator is a woman who nags. There's a way to communicate without actually saying
That's a good point.
Do women want men who understand the subtext, or do they like the more caveman brain of a guy who doesn't necessarily always get it? Or is he too in tune with his emotions if he gets all the subtext?
I don't think he's supposed to. I think his actions are supposed to speak louder than his words. But yeah.
Somebody mentioned Charlie. There's a Charlie somewhere. Yeah, Charlie with a Y is a girl's name.
Isn't that the fake stat is like 90% of communication is nonverbal?
It's
a totally fake stat, but you
I've
get the
heard
point.
that 90% of statistics are made up on the spot.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too. Not that John Stewart said Rooster Teeth did the Halo Machina Red versus Blue and recently Ruby? RWBY. I don't know what that means.
Ruby.
Do you know what that means?
Ruby. Yeah. And then what's it say? What's the rest of it say?
It says Rooster Teeth did the Halo Machina Red versus Blue and recently Ruby.
So I have a question. Is Rooster Teeth going to get bought up by another company or just shuttered altogether?
Sounded like it was over for them. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, you forget one thing. If she says a restaurant that requires a reservation, you're screwed. That's kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what do you do then? What's the backup plan?
Yeah.
Just have her keep guessing till she says a restaurant
like
that doesn't require a reservation.
Guess.
Okay. Vucky Ducky said, remember boys, Renaissance Festival is not on the ick list. If she's not into dressing up, shopping, and watching people fight, she's not the one. Those are like all of my hobbies. He said also, yes, please get the other Sara on here. You got an in.
Yep, that's
They play games. I don't know if they pay attention to like game studio drama and like industry stuff, but we can ask.
Bring her to Arby's. If she dumps you, she wasn't the one.
Ew, no Arby's under any circumstances, even if you're alone.
Well, after 10 years of marriage, maybe.
Yeah.
Not even, just never. I would be so happy just never going to Arby's
Like every
ever
time,
in my life.
like here's the like if she does something that annoys you, she forgets something important. You make her go to Arby's that night. That's the punishment.
As the punishment.
Like you pick and what it
It's
is
just
is
so-
you pick it up on the way home, so she doesn't even have a choice.
It's so disgusting. It's almost funny. Like I
I've
drive
never
past
had
an Arby's
Arby's
and I'm like, how do you exist? Like who is supporting this establishment?
Me,
It's a
I'm gonna go
crime.
after work.
Single-handedly.
Yeah. I've been to Arby's since I've lived out here, but I will if I have to. I will.
I've heard they have curly fries. I
They
might
have
go check
amazing
them out
curly
just for
fries.
that.
You can get that in the freezer aisle. Like you
There
don't
is
need
now,
Arby's for that.
There is now like a running tally of my Sheetz tacos that I've eaten going on Twitter.
Disgusting.
They get better every time.
Ew.
They get better every time. I love them. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel, please? If you have not done so already, please and thank you. Sara, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me as always. We have a couple promotions going on for castbrew.com. You can use the code PRIMETIME for 10% off of your purchase of our Alex Stein 2 times the caffeine blend. We also have another promo going if you use the code ReRise25. You get and buy a bag of Re-Rise with Roberto, you get 25% off 2 other bags of coffee.
Is that like zombie Roberto? If it's
It is
Re-Rise?
the zombie Roberto. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Re-Rise.
Well,
Never
our
heard that
King
before.
Roberto Jr. Passed away, so
Yes.
we had to rebrand a little bit.
Yeah. Can you show your mug to the audience?
Yeah,
real
so
quick?
this, just for the record, this is not my mug. This is
Like,
a
I don't
mug
know how
from
this showed up at the castle.
The castle. It says, "Dear Tim, you are the best chicken dad ever. If I had a different dad, I would peck him in the nuts and run to you. Love, your flock."
Just felt like sharing that. Anyways, you guys can send me validation on Instagram at MaryArchived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also MaryArchived.
But she won't read it because she's not reading comments right now.
Yeah. You can scream into the void if you want.
Perfect. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We're here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch, we got one more super chat here.
There are a
from-
few.
Okay, you want to read them?
Manic Mustache said men understand subtext like women understand the Roman Empire. So true. Jared Price said, with a latex allergy, my backup plan is, sorry, babe, they use latex gloves in the kitchen. Works well. Okay, if you can find a girl who has a latex allergy, I guess that would help. Bucky Ducky said zombie chicken coffee was pretty dang good.
There you go.
We have good reviews.
Great.
All right. And if you want to follow the show on social media, guys, we're on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.